first time I learned about the ATF, I did a show called Narcos.
He played Pablo.
You have the company that perfected firearms decades ago and has moved on to horse cum.
Dude, I can't wait to make my new rap group, Guns and Cum.
Oh my God, the Delta guy gonna spill all the secret.
Aussie stuck to Mars freaking Rover.
Hollywood stories. How many kids in that basement?
Say hi to Eli. He's racially ambiguous. And Brandon, his hair is fucking fabulous. And Donut, a dark joke disposition. And there's a fat electrician. Welcome to Unsubscribe.
Eli's gonna like this.
Yeah, I'm gonna love this.
Right.
Wait, we started with this?
Wait, everyone.
Hold on.
Wait,
He's got to get his can opener.
Everyone got it?
3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unsubscribed Podcast. I'm joined today by Eli Doubletap, Fat Electrician, AJ Buckley, Tyler Gray, Brandon Herrera, myself, Donut Operator. Thank you so much for being here.
We just drank a lot before this.
No, never.
We're professionals.
Yeah, we totally didn't just film the demo leaving episode right before this.
We did a shot, no big deal.
Drink 6 beers and do a shot about it.
I know, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun one. That was a Godspeed for both of you.
We're going to be passed out halfway through the episode.
How do you guys feel about Karl Marx? No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously, AJ and Tyler, what are you guys doing in town, man?
Oh, wait, you have to, did you open a CB?
Yes.
I just opened it.
5 seconds ago.
Did he say all our names?
No, it's a TBI for sure.
Oh, he said all our names.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm going to go put a second Purple Heart on your license plate.
That's gone already. I was like, Cody's still going to do the introduction.
It's like Eli's brain's like an etch-a-sketch.
Is that the Mandela effect?
It was the
Hold
rap.
on, he did the whole thing. Gone. He did everything is gone.
Straight
It's like talking to Eli is like watching the movie Memento.
It was funny because I remember thinking, wow, Cody nailed that intro.
That was a good intro. Yeah.
Cody's
You're just
intro
like,
is
wait, what
done.
happened?
Yeah, tattoo that. Cody's intro is done.
I just wrote the note for you.
Remember we
Thank
opened
you,
the,
Cody,
remember
you
we
nailed
opened
it.
the cans, right? When I did my opener?
Yeah, cans are open.
We did
Remember
that
the time we
3, 2,
all
1.
silently agreed to gaslight Eli into thinking we've done the intro, but we actually
That was a
didn't?
good time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Cody,
I was like-
do the intro.
Oh, see, now I was
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Dude, I didn't know. No, this was 100% in the realm of possibilities.
We did the intro.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
join
You
You guys should definitely.
You literally just gaslit him that you were gaslighting him.
Yeah, guys,
I don't even know it's like
join
a
the
double
military.
gaslight.
Oh, honey, you love being gaslit.
I'm so glad you can't get a pizza, like a Purple Heart from TBI, which 100% should be a thing.
Not yet.
Is that still a thing?
They were talking about it for a while. I don't know if they did that, but they were talking about it for a while.
It was one of the Freddie brought that up. He's like, "Why don't they give Purple Hearts for that?" I was like, "That is actually a really good."
I'll tell you why they don't, because everyone would get one. You'd come out and be like, "I don't remember anything." They're like, "Oh, Purple Heart."
That's a
Be
waste.
blanket-
To be
blanket
fair,
hearts.
to be fair, that's like World War II. They're like, man, so many people are getting shot. We need to like change the criteria for Purple Hearts because everybody would have one.
They're like,
well-
shot twice.
It's like, well, you still got hurt. That still counts. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, okay, so we have Tyler's back. Our boy Tyler,
Hello.
the
Thanks for
fucking
having
reigning
me.
king of the top episodes on Unsub.
That's shocking to me.
What'd you guys film to have the raining episode? What'd you guys do the first time?
Oh,
We
Tyler
learned.
casually was like, "You guys ever seen a CQB AT4?" And we're, what?
It's like thermobaric RPGs or whatever you guys are
Yeah,
talking about. That was cool as shit. Yeah.
And then Tyler was like, "Well, you didn't have one?" It's like, "Yes." Yeah, that's why our face is like.
That's not the technical term of the event. That was our joke term for it, was the CQB AT4, which is actually a really cool design. It's got a water thing of water in the back, so it basically goes off, and the counter charge blows back water. It's a pretty sweet design.
That's
Whoever
pretty
designed
fucking
it,
neat.
yeah. It's
Every
pretty awesome,
11
right?
Bravo has used one.
I forget the short.
The shock on his face when a medic from the National Guard never got given a CQB AT4. Let me tell you.
No, I'll tell you exactly why that episode did well. It was because he put the title "Military Secrets Question mark. That's where it came from.
With the Delta logo.
Yeah, with the Delta logo.
So 80% of the views are from China.
Oh my God, the Delta guy gonna spill all the secret.
You guys see any of those fucking at SHOT Show at all?
Dude, every year. It blows me away that's even allowed.
What?
Oh yeah, you guys are gonna have no.
What'd you say? I didn't hear.
So they're going to kick out Eli Duckworth for making Glock horse cum jokes at SHOT Show. But they'll allow like 80,000 Chinese nationals to show up and take pictures of all the new products from the American gun industry. Like, you straight up will have Chinese nationals all over the show floor. Like, taking pictures.
Dude.
There was one dude this year that had a 3D scanner.
No way.
Oh
Like,
my God.
brazen.
Dude, I this is a true story. I got invited to go run a booth. This is 2013, 14, I don't know. At EWA. Do you guys know what EWA is?
Yep.
EWA is like the German SHOT Show. And it was a very advanced pistol that I was at the booth for, and it was pretty cool. It's a pretty revolutionary design. Anyways, I was there.
What was it?
At the time, it was the Strike One, the Arsenal Strike One, which has a revolutionary feature, but they screwed up a lot of things. The pistol's it's being made by, I think a friend of mine actually bought the rights to it. But anyways, it's a very revolutionary design if you look at the way the gun works. It's got a low bore axis, very, very, actually the lowest there is. Anyways, and the way it's got a rotating locking block. It's a pretty cool, pretty unique design. And so I'm working at the booth and I'm like showing how it works. And I got my little spiel, and this dude comes up, obviously Chinese.
How could you tell?
So I've been quite extensively throughout Asia. I've been around Asia. I'm pretty good at I can tell the difference. I put it this way: I can tell the difference between Hong Kongese and mainland Chinese. So I'm pretty skilled.
Oh, so you're
in
like
that.
super racist.
I'm super good. Yeah, I'm super good at it. Yeah.
What exactly are you? I want to call you a slur.
So I'm like looking at this guy. I'm like, this is definitely mainland Chinese. This is not even Hong Kongese. And basically, dude, he busts out this camera and just starts like taking photos, and I mean like taking it apart photos. And I came over and I was like, what? He didn't even speak English enough to like tell me what he was doing. And I literally had to get security to get him away. But he was going around just taking guns apart and just taking, every 400 images of photos so they can recreate it.
Just so next year we can see the same pistol at the Holosun booth.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You did the joke with the ones that wanted your photo.
Well, so yeah, it's the one that Nick made us tell last year. The story where we had some like Chinese YouTubers that came up to us at SHOT Show and like they want to take a picture, and like as a joke, we're all like tipped as hell. So we go in for the photo, and like right as they're taking the picture, we go, "Fuck communism." And the guy taking the photo goes deadpan and takes the SD card out of the camera.
Oh my!
So we probably got him beheaded,
dude. You guys.
Yeah, it's the only time I've seen like they took the card out of the camera. Like,
but this year the joke was every time we'd see a group of Chinese nationals, like I'm just fucking sick of it. At this point, it's like you guys are like, we're basically in a cold war with China at this point, and we're just allowing their people to come in and take pictures of all our new shit. Like come on, are we trying? So
no, the answer is no.
we would just come up and like we see a group of them like walking by or like trying to take pictures of shit, and we just lean in next to their camera and go, Tiananmen Square.
Can we
East or what is it? What do we call them?
West
Taiwan.
They really like it when you call them that.
I just got back from Taiwan. I was literally there in December, actually.
You go everywhere.
I've been around recently. Yeah, I hate traveling, but I love it too.
I know by the time you're calling me, it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, I was asleep. Tyler's like, why? It's like midday for me. Like, weird.
Yeah,
I know.
When we were in Australia and New Zealand, we were trying to connect and get stuff.
It was a nightmare.
It was like,
it was a nightmare.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah. I feel like we brushed over something that I feel like I need more information on. Kicked out a SHOT Show for some horse cum? What?
Are you familiar with Glock?
I've heard of said
a little
brand,
bit.
yes. I've heard of
so
said
they
brand.
primarily make their income manufacturing.
In Georgia, yeah.
No, like what product?
Oh, Glock.
firearms. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Would you guess the other product that they're known for selling?
I guess it's horse cum.
Equine semen, correct.
What?
Yeah. That's a full ass thing.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's a lot of
Glock
money,
and
man.
cum?
Glock sells pistols and cum. They don't like it when you joke about it for some reason.
Really?
No, they legitimately, like, you know, that's like a really higher tier thing in Europe where they're just like, oh yeah, well, you've made millions and millions of dollars. I guess obviously you're going to get into the racehorse game.
Interesting.
Racehorse cum.
Yeah. So they legitimately have a fucking, like, equestrian section of Glock.
Yeah, it's not regular horse cum. That's weird.
Guns and cum.
It's the good horse cum.
Dude, I can't wait to make my new rap group, Guns and Cum.
That's crazy. Glock started actually by making knives.
Yep.
Really?
Oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah, so interesting story. They first made knives. They still make the Glock knife, but on the Glock knife is a plastic handle that's injection molded, and that's why his Gaston Glock's experience with plastic came from making those knives and the plastic scabbards. So he was like, I know plastics well. I'm pretty sure I could make a gun out of it. And the interesting thing I'll say about this with the firearms industry, or every industry, is, you know, when Gaston Glock was like, hey, I think I can make a slide out of plastic, everyone was like, that's insane. A frame has to be metal. Plastic frames will never work. It just goes to show you, and Gaston Glock's like, I've been working with plastics for quite a few years. I think you're wrong. And then boom, now everyone, it's like innovation. I'm going to tell you right now, here's a fact about a product. Anything is possible. Period. Anything is possible. And anytime any industry, and the gun industry is excessively bad at it, and the movie industry is the same. They go, oh, that can't possibly work. And then someone goes, I think it can. They do it, it works. And then everyone goes, let's all do that.
Yeah.
Every fucking brand now, to include brands that made only metal frames, are making plastic frames. But it started with Gaston Glock, all because he was just like, I think I can do that.
Every time you go to SHOT Show and there's a new Glock killer, it looks exactly like a Glock and functions exactly the same way.
We're introducing a striker-fired pistol. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's like, he came up with that in 1983. Good work.
Yeah. Congrats, you're half a century behind.
You guys laugh, but Sig figured out how to make them shoot themselves. So he's a real innovator here.
Well,
Their collaboration with Isaac Newton.
what they're shooting?
That was a P320 joke, how they just have a tendency to go off on their own.
Really?
You could drop. There was like videos.
I know the Taurus.
It was-
The Taurus was having that issue, like the Taurus Breda copy. It was like in Brazil, where you like threw it on the ground. Like,
Oh, wow.
Where you just shake
the
those,
320,
I think.
right?
Yeah.
Say
Me and-
320.
So
Interesting.
for Fat Pew's, me and Pewview's show, we're doing a P320 versus a Glock 19, and we're gonna use blanks obviously, but we're gonna have the loaded gun, and we're gonna see what it takes to actually make them go off by dropping them. And we have a grain silo that's like 4 stories high that we're already going to go and throw the Glock and the P320 off of while they're loaded to see if they
Really?
go off.
Wow.
I guarantee you I can overhand a Glock at a brick wall as hard as I can. It won't
Well,
go off.
a Glock has 3 drop safeties built
like
inside.
it's
it.
impossible to make a
it's
Glock go
very
off
well
on accident.
designed that way. Yeah.
God, I have so many questions.
What a lot of people don't know is that it's illegal to import. I believe this is correct. It's illegal to import a pistol that doesn't at least have one safety, or like a certain amount of redundancies on the safety.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I know Glock has 3, the way the pistol is designed. And
Well, and that's why it's stupid that Glock lost the contract for the new service pistol to whatever they named the P320. It's the same fucking M17.
M17, yeah.
So like M17 beat it out for the military contract for the sole reason that Glock refused to put a manual safety on a Glock because it's just fucking quadruple overkill.
You know, I mean, so I'll tell you another Glock story because I'm a gun nerd, and
You've handled one or
people
two,
are going
right?
to learn
Couple.
something. So
Yeah.
no, so Glock. Here's the interesting thing, and this is why Glock is Glock, is because the reason that he made a Glock was because at that time, again, this is the late 70s, early 80s, and he looked at it, and you had 2 pistols. You had a revolver and you had an automatic. All automatics, I mean, and I'm all, right? There's exceptions to everything, but the vast majority of semi-automatics had a manual safety. And there were massive statistics on how many times somebody drew and didn't remember to take off the manual of safety and therefore didn't fire a round and were killed.
Yep.
So Gaston Glock, being the genius he was, he's like, now that didn't exist for a revolver. You pull out a double action revolver, pull the trigger, it fires. So he's like, now who was using revolvers at the time? Cops. Glock wanted to make a gun for the military and law enforcement. So he's like, I want a gun that's semi-automatic, but when you pull it out, it just fires. You don't have to manually train to put off a safety. So he was like, well, why don't I put the safety into the trigger? And he did that so that you could just pull and worry about shooting, not have to extra train. So really the Glock was designed to reduce the amount of training it took to fire a service weapon in combat or...
Well, that's why SIG is ahead of everybody in being innovators, because you don't even have to pull them out. They're like, how do we one up Glock? What if you don't even need to shoot it? Oh, shit. Eli saw the smirk and knew exactly where that was going.
But so the last part of that is the reason that the Glock replaced, specifically the Glock, replaced double action revolvers for law enforcement is because it was the same in training. You pull it out, you pull the trigger, it fires. There wasn't a need to retrain a department in semi-automatics to replace their revolvers. And that's why Glock, I mean, one of the reasons Glock is so prevalent in law enforcement today.
Do gun companies, do they do recalls then if there's an issue with it?
Yeah,
So is that a recalled gun then?
Glock? No.
Oh, no, for the SIG. For the SIG. So it's not,
There's been a couple. They also have.
I mean,
this
it's not
thing.
like a Jeep, you know. Take your gun to the gunsmith
that's what I'm saying, like, what do you
rotate
do? Is it
apart.
like, is it? Yeah,
They'll
It
be
has
like,
happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
we fixed it, blah blah blah. But I mean, all the recent ones, they're like, I've seen the videos where it's like a cop just like literally talking to somebody and his gun just goes off, and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, yeah.
And
Like in the holster, like
in the
not
holster,
being
completely
fucked with.
holstered gun, and
Yeah.
he's like talking, and it's just like security cam footage, and the gun just goes off, and Glock is like,
Are you sure that wasn't a pager?
He reholstered that the
Not
wrong
Sig,
way.
Sig.
Sorry, Sig. Yeah, Sig is like he reholstered that the wrong way.
Wow. Whoa. Glock
Yeah, my
never
bad.
said that.
Gaston, God rest his name, would never let that fly.
Yeah.
But it is security footage of it sitting in a holster and going off, dropping, going off, like, and then people trying to prove it doesn't go off when they drop it, and it going off.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was a whole thing, and then they're like, send those back in if you want. We'll fix it.
if you want.
It's just like a known thing now that happens, and like all SIG fanboys are just like okay with it. It's pretty funny. Like I don't dislike SIG. Like I have a couple of their guns, and like it's a perfectly acceptable gun. But let's just not pretend like that's not a prevalent issue.
Yeah, I mean, you have two options. You have the companies still trying to perfect firearms, and you have the company that perfected firearms decades ago and has moved on to horse cum. Which
Which one do you go with?
Tell me about horse cum. Let's fucking go.
Do you take a shower and still smell bad?
Do you suffer from thigh folds? Do you know how to play Magic the Gathering? If so, do we have the product for you?
Today's sponsor, Mando. Do you know what makes Mando different from any other deodorant?
It's whole body deodorant that is safe to use anywhere on your body. You can even use it in your butt crack. And trust me, I do. And you probably should. I've been to a Magic the Gathering tournament. You should. Mando comes in solid stick and spray deodorant that is aluminum free.
Clinically proven to block odor all day.
And it controls odor for up to 72 hours. That's 3 days you can go without having to take a shower. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, aka my father's hand.
Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant right now?
You can find them in Walmart, Target, and if you don't want to leave the comfort of your own home, which I imagine a lot of you Target audience don't, for the best deals you can go to shopmando.com.
Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers.
It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant,
2 free products of your choice, such as
Mini body wash and deodorant wipes.
and free shipping.
new customers get $5 off the starter pack with our exclusive code.
Unsub!
That equates to over 40% off your starter pack using special code
Unsub at shopmando.com.
Boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
AJ, what is your background and everything?
I was born in Dublin, and
Hey.
I
Hey.
Damn it, Show's not here.
I left Ireland when I was 6 and went to Vancouver, Canada. I was in Canada until I was 17. Then I booked a movie in Vancouver. It brought me down to LA, and then my career just sort of started there. I always wanted to be an actor and stuff since I was 5. That was the only thing I ever wanted to do. But went down to Los Angeles and went out for an audition when I was there. I got an agent and ended up booking the first job there. And then it wasn't that. I mean, I ended up.
Sorry, what like year-ish?
This was
1982.
Yeah, 82. This was 2001.
Okay.
2000. Yeah,
Oh, no
2001,
shit, okay.
2002. And then I hit a bit of a dry spell. Lived out of my car for about a year and a half because I was too old to play like a cop. Too old to play like high school and too young to play a cop or anything. I had like peach fuzz. Like was just started to shave, and then it kind of went through this really sort of rough spell. Got messed up with the wrong people and like everything. Hollywood's like this pretty flower that just like eats you alive and watches to send you home. So then I just figured out I was like, should I go home and get a 9-to-5, which is nothing wrong with 9-to-5, but I was like, no, fuck it, I'll just
Canada was the issue, not the 9-to-5 job.
Canada was cool. Canada was cool back then. And then
The future 51st state.
exactly. And then I was it was probably 2007 when things started turning around again. I had like $32.95 to my name. I got the bank receipt from Wells Fargo that day, and I got a call. I booked CSI New York. It was at the time when the CSI New York was the third of the franchise that came out. And then I booked series regular on that, and then my sort of life changed forever.
With Gary Sinise was the star of that.
So I did 9 seasons of that with Gary. Who I don't know if you guys have ever met Gary or have ever had him on the show. Dude, one of the
Seems
greatest.
like a rad dude, though.
Honestly, he is the greatest. And I really mean this. There's not many human beings on this planet that he is the most selfless human being ever. He would do things during CSI New York that there was no cameras there. Like he would help to build houses. He would just do things out of his own pocket, and there was never cameras. The amount of stuff that he's done to the veteran community, and then how the foundation is run, the Gary Sinise Foundation, and that all the money goes to the people. Like you actually sees in the amount of how just everything that he's done and what he represents. He's sort of the gold standard, I feel, of foundations.
Did all of that like kind of come from the Lieutenant Dan role? Where
Yeah,
he just kind of like
he was really he comes from a military family, and but the Lieutenant Dan role really did that. And he started the Lieutenant Dan band, and then every other weekend he's at a hospital or he's at some event or he's at some things. So when we got SEAL Team, I called him up and was like, hey, how do I really get involved in this? Like actually in 2008 he sent me. I was like, I want to go overseas, so he sent me 2008. I went over to Iraq, and it was crazy. I had no fucking clue what.
You went in 2008?
Yeah, right when you guys were doing the push to Afghanistan.
Yeah, that was still the surge.
I went
early.
I stayed at Camp Liberty at Saddam's palace there.
Yeah.
I think the 3-star general was like General Jacoby, I think his name was.
That was early 2008.
Yeah.
No shit.
But it was crazy. Like I went there we flew into Kuwait, and then we took a C-17 to Delta Fob, and I'll never forget this. Like flying in, and the guy didn't like. We all had a person that was with us, team guy or whatever. That, like, this is your buddy. Like, and I was like, oh, wide-eyed, and this guy's like, oh fuck, I got this idiot.
That's so wild. Dude, you're going into this is Surge Iraq. This is that's what's more wild to me. I'm like, oh man,
no clue. And the guy's like, he's like, are you scared of flying or anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm fired up. This is great. He's like, okay. He's like, just get ready. He's gonna get weird. I'm like, why? And just as he said that, it did that like strategic dive down to land.
Below radar, map of the earth. Baby.
I was like, oh my god! I thought I was fucking dying. I didn't know what was going. There's like flares going. Pop, 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 pop.
It's like aliens, and it's like he's like on the drop ship.
Yeah, but we flew into Delta Fob, and then we Blackhawk to Camp Liberty, and we stayed there. We were there for 15 days, and then we would go out each day to different fobs and hang for a day or two at the fob. Some days there would be a sandstorm and we'd have to stay, but it was awesome. Like, it was a really cool thing. I mean, one of the days going over Sadr City, we
nice place.
I will never. This is like true story. I literally pissed my pants. Like, literally pissed my fucking pants in front of a bunch of people. I was so scared. I'm such. And we're going over into Blackhawk, and we had like Blackhawks, and there was some Apaches, and we were going over, and I guess whatever happened, they picked up that there's some radar or something was on it, and our Blackhawk like turns and fucking flares start going, and I don't know what's happened on, but everything went quiet on the comms, and they were firing shit, dude. I pissed myself. I was like, I thought, and I had like a camcorder, like the tour, like, oh my god, and I dropped in, and I go, man, I want to die.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't know what was, and I'd never heard a 50 cal go off before. Like, this is way before SEAL Team, so I didn't know what the hell. And then it was crazy when we landed. The kid that like shot the gun, who's like, he watched the show. He's like, "Can I get a picture with you?" Well, he had that like, Halo-looking mask on.
Yeah, the big one.
And this was way before Halo, but it was like just. I was just like, "Oh shit, yeah, of course." And he took it off, and like this kid was so like he was younger than me. He just had some peach fuzz, and I was like, "This motherfucker had balls of steel." While I was sitting in the back, pissing my pants. So, and then I also got. On my first Blackhawk ride, I went to the right side in the back seat, so that air was like, I was like, just eating the air for it was pretty painful for. I thought like this will end at some point. It was like 30 minutes later. It was like, yeah, but
when getting off that first, when you get off in like Kuwait,
yeah,
how hot it is.
And we did.
Smell.
So we went to.
You turn right and
gas and oil.
There's the Air Force base.
In the
We went to
world.
the Air Force base there in Kuwait, is where they had us staying at. But what I couldn't believe was like when we landed, they had us like a convoy, which now from the show, like where we'd have like the lead vehicle, and then we'd be in the middle, and they just wouldn't stop for anything. And I was just like, oh my god, fucking, this is nuts! Like just going through all the things, like passing camels on the road, and then we pull into this hotel, and there's a TGI Friday and a Starbucks. I'm like. What the fuck?
America.
Hold on. He did say it was an Air Force base.
Wow, movie theater and a pool. What?
It reminds me of I don't know if you've ever brought this up in a video. I know I think you have the deployable.
Burger King? Yeah.
What was that?
America has a deployable Burger King that can be anywhere in the world in 24 hours.
That's what we refer to as a tactical app.
It's a semi-trailer that you can pull out of a C-130, and it's a fully operational Burger King.
Oh, that's genius.
Somebody's getting money for that behind the scenes.
There's still every once in a while on a road trip, I'll stop and get a Whopper. The Whoppers, like every once in a while, like a bad road trip, you get a Whopper. Whoppers are still. You shit your pants after, but it's worth it. Just a fucking Whopper or the chicken sandwich. I'll go for it.
Could you imagine being an enemy of America, being like, oh, I haven't had food in a little while, supply lines are weak, and then America pulls a Burger King out of the plane. It's like, oh shit!
The king walks out in his costume, handing burgers out to troops.
Europeans have to look at that and think that's the most American shit ever.
I think I started to bring this up and like got interrupted in a previous podcast, but like, you don't know the chocolate cake story, do you, from World War II?
What?
The whole
I know the ice cream story. I don't know.
So yeah, there's the ice cream ships. That was with Japan. That was like when Japan realized we were fucked. Is when they found out we had entire naval vessels whose whole job was to make ice cream for the Navy in World War II. But
pretty dope.
On the German front,
he's a historian.
on the German front, like there's I haven't read the actual one because I can't read German, but allegedly there's like a German officer that they interviewed, and they were like, so like, yeah, when did you realize the war was over? And he's like, we intercepted American mail, and like in the mail on the front lines, somebody had shipped him a chocolate cake, and it was still good. And he's like, that's when we realized that like the American logistics is gonna win this war no matter what. We're fucked. They just got a chocolate cake to the front lines from the other side of the planet before it got bad.
In the 40s.
Yeah, in the 40s.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
That's where we were. How was it like when you started like doing that? That is a wild experience. That's awesome. You went through that experience. You signed up for that. You're like, I want to do this.
I really wanted to go. I saw what I'd seen the Gary Sinise, the Lieutenant Bay. He would throw a concert every year for the entire CBS lot that we're in. Actually, the crazy thing is where we filmed CSI New York at CBS Radford ended up being the same studio that we filmed SEAL Team at. Like 6 years later, came back at the same stage. We were on stage 3 for 9 seasons. For
I don't think
CSI
you ever told me that, which is
crazy. And then stage 23, we were on that stage for 7 seasons. So that studio became like a second home. And but the Gary Sinise would throw a big fucking party for them, and I met a bunch of guys and was hearing the stories. And again, it was very fresh. It was like, and it was
How far into like your professional acting career are you at this time when you went over?
Oh, this is my first real, like CSI New York changed my life completely.
Like how many years into that are
Oh,
you?
I'd
when you went
be,
over?
so I got my first gig on the X-Files, like season 1 of the X-Files.
AJ's been in a ton of stuff, and he looks, I can say this, he looks, I had worked with AJ for probably a year, and then he starts posting clips of stuff he's done. I'm like, I know, like I remember that. That was you? Dude, he's like Gary Oldman. He looks completely different in each role. Like completely. Doesn't even look like himself right now. Like dude, he could show you the role he did on the
Entourage?
Yeah, Entourage. Dude, does he like
You did Entourage?
Dude,
Did you remember
he
Anna
didn't
Faris's boyfriend?
Oh shit.
Yeah, like, give me the Coke. Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
He starts posting stuff. I'm like, I didn't even know that was you.
Yeah.
Dude, he crushed it. He looks very different in each role. I mean, in CSI New York, he's a nerd. He's literally a computer nerd, or a.
I was a forensic
nerd.
pathologist.
Yeah.
But I remember the day, like when they were testing me out for it, and I'm super dyslexic and I have real trouble reading anything.
Oh, you'll
And-
get along with all
perfect.
of us.
And so I
can't read.
I have to hear fucking everything and to memorize it. But so the day that they wanted to test me for the show, they had me come because they're going through lab texts. Everyone, I was there to drive the story. I would show up on page 9. I'm out on page 33, 34, unless they let me out of the lab, which was only 3 times, and every girl I had got murdered. So it was a sad case. But the first word I had to say, and it was with Gary Sinise, and I knew that this is my test. Like, it's a filming down thing, and so, and usually you'd have like a day or two with the lines to memorize it. They were just like, come down to the set, here's your stuff, go. So I see this big monologue and stuff. I'm like, oh, please, God, this, like, make my brain work. So for some reason, I when the first word was methoxydisopropyl-tryptamine, and the word was like that, which is basically
Bro, I'd be like,
You just gave Eli
Takes
another
38.
TBI.
Oh, I remember every big, I remember every single big fucking word on that show because it would haunt me. So I get through this to start doing the scene, and I'm flubbing over the stuff, and I'm totally sweating. I keep hitting over like thermals and all this other stuff, and the director calls cut, and I think, all right, I'm done. And the showrunner, Pambese, is like, she's like, hey, she's yelling from behind the monitor. She's like, keep whatever that choice you're doing of playing him really nervous is hysterical. Keep doing that. We love that. I'm like, oh my God.
that was on purpose.
She totally thought I was coming in and doing this like this mumbling guy.
I'm a method actor.
That's a bit.
I'm so good, I can make myself sweat.
Like, my hands were like this, and I was like, the character's name was Mac, and I'd be Mac, and I was like, so then the writer started to write me mumbling and bumbling through the things as they were, we love this, dude, great choice. And it wasn't until like years later, like I'd done, I'm like, guys, I would actually shit my pants that day. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, this is not a character. Like, I'm still, when you give me big words, I'm really terrified. And Gary, years there, I was telling you this story the other night.
Yeah.
Gary has this, like, I had such admiration for him for everything he did on stage, as Stephen Wolf, and like, he's in Forrest Gump and 10 10. So as an actor, he was just somebody that I really admired. But he had this thing that in the scenes, his character would just stare at you and just like really just stare. So he looked pissed off all the time. And I'm getting in my own head. I'm like, fuck, oh God, Gary fucking hates me. Gary hates me. So I'm thinking this in my head while I'm doing the scene, and then it's just making it worse. And I'd always be like, see, I'm like, Gary, I'd stay out of his way and stuff. And I told him later, I'm like, dude, he was like, what? He's like, you were, I'm like, yeah, I thought, he was like, no, man. He's like, I was just in the scene looking at you. He was like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, this character Adam's an idiot, but I know you're not a real idiot, AJ. I'm like, oh, thanks, Gary.
Just your character.
Yeah, just your character.
But let me say, AJ,
You weren't actually acting for
let me
it.
say, AJ, you really sold it. I mean, really sold it.
But it was, it was, but that show was, a massive game changer.
So AJ, I'll tell this story. So when I show up on the show, on SEAL Team, dude, so they're like, hey, they called me up on like a Wednesday, and they're like, hey, can you be in New Orleans on Friday? For I think it was 6 weeks. And I was like, oh shit, man. I had to move a lot of stuff around at that time. I actually quit a job to go work on SEAL Team, which is a whole story in itself. But dude, they're hitting me up for like I'm figuring out my life. Like I literally quit a really good job to go do this, which was a huge risk, by the way. Which I'll just tell that story very quickly because I think it's important. I got called. I wanted to work in Hollywood, and you know, I got a big movie when they called for Squad. They're like, "Hey, can you leave?"
Which one?
The first one. First one.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, dude, it was actually awesome. So I'm friends with David, who directed Ayer, who directed it. I mean, what we shot was an awesome movie. What was edited was not an awesome
That's
movie.
what I hear.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, I was there for 6 months filming. What we shot was awesome. A very good movie. What was edited, what was shot was not a comedy.
What do you mean?
talked about
the studio can fuck up a good production.
I know it's shocking, but
We've stressed it so many times.
what was shot was a lot of good stuff. I mean, dude, they could have edited an entire movie of just Joker and Harley Quinn. Like, they had enough footage to just do an entire movie with them. And I was actually, so there's actually a scene, by the way, that I'm in that you don't know it, but the scene where the Joker goes into Harley Quinn's cell. There's a guy that opens, the door.
I like the tail end of the movie.
Yeah, it's a very end of the movie. I think it's actually the last
movie.
scene where there's a guy in a gas mask. He opens the door for Joker. Joker goes in, and then he guards the door. That's me wearing a gas mask. I had to have a gas mask because I'm actually in the movie as a good guy, so I couldn't also be a bad guy. But anyways, I just did that. Anyways, dude, there was a lot of dialogue in that scene just that disappeared. But that scene was shot for like an hour on screen, and it's 30 seconds in the movie. Anyways, when I got that job offer, call me up. Hey, 6 months in Toronto. Can you leave in 3 days? And I'm like, so it was a big life decision. I'm like, this is the direction I want to go. So I dropped everything and made some pretty serious ramifications to the relationship I was in at the time, and was like, this is the direction I want to go, and I left. And I ended up technically getting SEAL Team, that call directly from that. SEAL Team happens, and again, I get a call, can you leave in a couple days for 6 weeks? I had a really good job at the time, and I was just like, man, I gotta try. I got to try. And so I quit that job and ended up going. My whole point is dude, if something is what you want to do in life, no matter how good what you have is, you got to reach for the thing that you want to do. And I can tell you, those two decisions were debatably two of the best decisions I made in my life. Was letting go of what I had to try and grab on to what I want. Yeah. And
everyone at this table.
No, I know. I know
table.
everyone here agrees with that, but I want to say it to the audience, because if those decision points come up in your life, go. Just go. Don't
It's going to be scary as fuck.
It's going to be scary. Don't think too hard. Go. Reach out towards what you want.
And you can definitely fail. Like, you could it up, but you'll never regret it.
No, you can fuck it up, but when that opportunity comes up again, try it again. So the story I was going to tell is, dude, during that decision time when I'm like, I'm making major changes to my life, I'm getting a text twice a day from the damn producer going, hey, AJ Buckley really wants to talk to you. He's raring to go. He's looking forward to talking to a military guy. He's really high. Can you take him shooting? I'm like, dude, I haven't even agreed to do the fucking job yet. And they're just like, man, he's raring to go. I literally got 10 or 12 texts before I even agreed to fly.
my bathtub coming up out of my bathtub.
Yeah, he's like doing breathing exercises in his tub. It was bananas, but I show up, man, and yeah, AJ and I just started rocking and rolling. But
yeah, we hit it off.
Yeah, we hit it off.
What was, like, you're like, okay, I've done X, Y, and Z, flew over, pissed myself flying in Blackhawk, and now working with Tyler.
Well, crazy thing, so I started watching a bunch of different shows, and I watched The Selection, which that he did with, what was it, History Channel or whatever? Or...
Was it?
It was like it was like what that Fox show is.
Yeah, no, it was History Channel. Sorry,
it was like what that Fox show is now. Yeah. What is it called?
Special Forces.
Special Forces. So it's it was the Special Forces one, but theirs was like the first one. So I was watching it. I was like, and me and my wife were like, oh, this Tyler guy. So I literally, when I first met him, you're Tyler Gray. I was like,
he actually knew who I was.
The fuck, dude, you're from that show. So I was already fanboying, and then I wanted to. Because I didn't grow up shooting guns really. I shot like a handgun.
You already said you're from Canada.
Canadians.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it was out there.
So
well, we had UK first.
Yeah. So then I was with you on the ship that we were out there shooting when first night I shot the 249.
Yeah.
And
Also, I'm aware how many Irish people I pissed off by saying that.
I didn't want to bring it up and make it more awkward. For
those who don't know, that was a dig.
Part owner of this show. She is from Ireland and moved here 2 years ago.
I looked around, she wasn't there, and then I felt like a dipshit.
That's right. Yeah, I was like, she's not here.
Where's in Ireland is she from?
Is she from Ireland?
Ireland.
Her and her
It's
Dave,
big.
both of them. Her and her husband moved here 3 years ago from Ireland.
wow.
So,
Dude, if you ever get a chance to go to Ireland, I highly recommend it.
She's from the white part.
You guys should go do a podcast there.
100%. Graph shows.
You should definitely go to Ireland, though. It is. You will get to the countryside and just rent a car and do the coast. It'll be by far one of the best trips you ever had in your life.
Really?
Yeah. You guys should go do a fucking podcast there.
How long is the drive for the coast?
Around. You could do it
From here to Ireland?
No.
Around the coast of Ireland. Like, once you get there.
I think you could do it in. Like, are you stopping or not stopping?
Yeah, whatever.
No stopping.
You could do the entire coast and it be a good trip, like 10 days, and stop like at a bed and breakfast and have a day or two here, but awesome. Like, just like the village, you go to these tiny little villages, and it's right out of a storybook. But you just like the Irish people are so welcome. They just open the door. Like, as soon as you meet them, they'll like invite you to like you can stay at their house. Like, they'll give the shirt off the back to you.
Here's
like,
a Guinness.
Yeah, they'll like Guinness is like whole. You'll learn the true proper way to pour a pint of Guinness, and the Guinness here and the Guinness there taste 100% different. Like, my mother used to pour. The doctors used to prescribe Guinness for the kids.
I love this country.
If they were low, if you were lower in like your in iron, the doctor would say, "I just pour some Guinness in his porridge." So they would get Guinness, and
Did
my
you
mom
just
would
say porridge?
porridge.
I believe so.
Yeah. Or oatmeal.
Hey.
So
What,
it's-
what,
Trout,
for what
introduce
reason?
yourself. This is our boy Connor
What's
K.
up?
Trout.
How's it going?
Hey, where'd the other guy go?
Cody?
Yeah, where'd he go?
It's the same guy.
They-
It's the
they-
same guy.
Same
What
guy.
are you talking about, dude?
He doesn't see Lost a lot.
Well, hi, everyone. Ozempic Cody here.
That shit works fast now.
Historytism. In the cans of Guinness, there's that little ball
Which-
at the
yeah,
bottom
yeah.
for like keeping
Yeah,
the
yeah,
foam right,
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
on tap.
yeah.
That was the invention of the year in 1999.
Was it really?
You want to know what it beat out from second place?
What?
The internet.
No way. That is.
I still
awesome.
want to know why that helps you
100%.
if you're low in iron.
Well, the doctors, and the Guinness would be delivered with when the milkman would come around, and they would drop off Guinness and milk, and
The Guinness man in
yeah,
Ireland is
and
a
they would-
thing.
they would-
Mom's
they would-
banging the Guinness man.
I look a lot like the Guinness man. but yeah, they would pour Guinness on our oatmeal, and then like I always remember when we were sick.
Never had that before.
When we were sick, we would have whiskey, like hot water, whiskey, and sugar, and they'd wrap us up in a blanket.
Kind of like a hot toddy.
Hot toddy, but then
Yeah.
we'd be like 4 years old and like.
That's why they call it a hot toddy. It's a hot toddler. Literally, wrap a hot towel around their head and give them
4 years
alcohol. It's
old,
a
give them
hot
whiskey.
toddler.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hot toddler.
He's so docile.
But next time you have a Guinness and you pour it, if the proper time to drink, if you get like a quarter, right, and you hold the pint glass, and when you first pour it, you'll hit it, it'll have like a tunk 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 sound to it, and when it's ready to drink, it'll go tink tink tink. Everything just sort of settles in it. So, and one of the things I'll teach is like when you're over in Ireland, when everybody's pint glass is about here, order the round, because you don't buy ever a drink for yourself. You buy for the table that you're at. It's just very rude. If you have cigarettes, you throw them in the middle of the table. Like, it's just a very community-based thing. And so if you see sitting down at a table, you buy a round for everyone, but don't order it down here, because a proper pint of Guinness takes like 5 or so minutes for it to settle and before it's a thing. So if you order a big thing, you don't want to break stride. So if you're the idiot at the table that doesn't know, and it's your round and you miss thing, then everybody's waiting, and then you're that guy. So you sort of gauge it halfway through, everyone's there and comes around. And if you have 10 pints of Guinness, like, you're full, but there's less calories in a Guinness than there is in a Coors Light.
What?
This
yeah.
gave
No
me
shit.
anxiety about drinking in Ireland.
Oh.
I'm like,
there's so many
it's like helping out to read the long paragraph when it's my turn. Jesus. Oh my God.
He's drinking so fast. Do I order now? What did AJ say?
gotta share a sound. This sounds expensive.
Connor's ashing in the middle. Is that rude? I don't remember.
I remember taking my cousin we were in Mexico, he came to visit, and in Ireland, when you ask him if it's a good time, you say, how's the crack? So
How's the what?
How's the crack? So you would say, how's the crack? So if you're out on a night, we were
Crack?
in crack, like the crack.
That's a very different question in
Yeah,
LA.
so we were in Mexico. My cousin kept saying to people,
Downtown San Antonio, they asked the same question.
How's the crack? How's the crack? And people were looking like, what? And I'm like, dude, you can't say that, man. We're gonna throw in jail. And so of course you have a few pints of me, like, hey, how you going? How's the crack? And then fucking like everyone would turn to you, like it's a weird segue. It's like everyone's having like tequila and something. My cousin would be randomly like, how's the crack? And everyone would stop and be like, what the fuck is this guy on about? Like,
I've heard Show and Dave say that before. It's like, what's
how's the crack?
What's the bullshit?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah.
What's cracking?
What's
shaking?
Yeah, so what's
Yeah.
cracking? But it's just like, but when someone says it late night at a club or we're walking up to somewhere, how's the crack? You're saying to anyone. He would say it to everybody. So,
Me and Trout were just talking about Irishmen going to Mexico last night at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh no.
During the Spanish-American War.
what happened?
There was a bunch of Irish
This is
people.
a random conversation.
No,
Tell me more.
like this happened.
No,
in real life.
anything historical is actually not random on this because of him. You literally, am I correct in saying you literally have a degree in history? Or is
No, I just read
it-
constantly.
He's got a intense historical knowledge.
Autism.
Try to. During the Mexican-American War, there was a bunch of Irish guys that came over, and they basically got drafted to get their citizenship in exchange. And so they had entire like brigades of just straight-up Irish dudes that were getting their citizenship and fighting in the Mexican-American War.
No
Go ahead.
There's a guy. What is his name? He's a famous gunfighter. He was one of them. He's my favorite. I gotta remember what his name is. I'm gonna look it up. But
Yeah, go ahead.
he got drafted, or I don't know. I think he volunteered actually for the American War. He was Irish, and he became this like I think it's.
Bono?
I'm gonna look it up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No,
So,
you guys go ahead. I'm
Anyways,
gonna
all
look it
these
up.
Irish dudes,
It's a great story.
were in a unit together. It's like they're all from Ireland, getting their American citizenship or whatever, and they go down and start fighting the Mexicans. And after a little while, they're like,
Wait, is this history or
"No, this is
current?
real life."
The great American pastime.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't know if this was current or historical.
No,
I got confused. I was like, wait a minute. Are we talking about today?
History
Irishmen?
repeats
This is last Thursday.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
all
I
these
still want you to tell you Fortnite.
all these Irish dudes get over there and they're like, "You guys are Catholic too?" Fuck, tortillas are awesome. They literally ended up switching sides and started fighting for Mexico
Are you serious?
in the Mexican-American War. And there was like a huge Irish population in Mexico because of it.
Actually, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why.
Holy shit! What year is this?
Mexican-American War,
Mexican-American War,
1800s,
so
yeah.
like 18.
It's around the Civil War. It's close
Yeah.
to the Civil
Oh
War.
wow!
18. It was. I mean, Robert E. Lee, I think, was a colonel in the American military during that the Mexican American War.
Yeah.
It's just after the Civil War, isn't it?
It was just before.
Just before.
Oh, just before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my bad.
Like late 40s, early 50s,
I think so.
something like that.
18.
I'm gonna find that dude's story.
I wonder if there's anybody
my
named
favorite
like
story.
Jesus O'Neill down there or something like that.
He's so neat.
100%
There's
of that.
gotta be. I want to meet that.
Patrick Rodriguez.
Mario O'Brien.
The Mexican, like a Mexican gingers. Like, there's gotta be. There's someone. Oh, actually, well, Canelo. Is that
Yeah.
there?
Oh, yeah,
That's,
shit.
there you go.
Canelo, literally.
He's got leprechaun in
fucking-
them. There you
So
go.
as Brandon wants me to tell you my conspiracy theory.
I want to hear it.
So you know how like a lot of military games were actually like kind of secretly, covertly aided by the government for like making the army seem cool, or like we're gonna make Arma so they know damn near how to pilot a drone out of the gate when they get to training, shit like that.
They made an entire dude. When I enlisted, there was an entire the Army game.
Yeah, exactly. So like I have a theory. I think
was a
Fortnite
great
was invented
recruiter.
for ICE.
Huh?
Please
Because
elaborate.
if ICE busts in to like deport a bunch of Mexicans, and they just start building structures really fast so you can't get to them.
They want to be prepared.
My
You
people.
gotta know how to combat that.
Just picturing my people. We're here. Well, how is that physically possible?
Are you harboring enemies of the states beneath the floorboards? This, or did the enemies of the state just make this fucking house?
If they were under the floorboard, you'd fucking know.
You know that Putin had like the not world class, but like the highest category of Russian Arma 3 players simulate the invasion of Ukraine.
I did hear
Arma
about that,
3.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, he had.
How'd that go?
not according to plan.
Turns out expensive.
Like, ooh,
What do you mean you want me to program tanks from World War II in the modern warfare game?
I remember everybody was just like, nah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, Russia's going into Ukraine. It's not going to happen. We saw the headline. They're like, Russia just moved up a shitload of blood reserves to the Ukrainian border of like blood donation, like blood bags, like that. And we're like, ooh, it's probably going to happen. And I think it was like a couple days after that headline.
Did you see that? There was a headline I saw yesterday where Zelensky was saying that they've only received 78 million of the 78 billion of the 178 billion that we said. They don't know where. They never received.
Oh yeah, they're casually missing 58% of it.
Yeah, they're
That's
missing
also
$100 million. They don't $100 billion.
It's also a crazy way of saying thank you.
Yeah, I was just like,
Fucking
what?
bad day
How
to
do
be
you
a twin tower.
I was like, what?
the government accidentally gives me.
I gotta pee.
Great accent.
Government can accidentally give me 50%. I'm like, you know what? Thank you.
That is crazy.
It was during the Biden administration. At some point, they said like, "Oh yeah, well, we accidentally gave Ukraine $5 billion more than we meant to." It's like,
But you not due to get it back, or like?
So, I mean, dude, anyone who's dealt with the IRS, it's like, you know, you're like, hey, you guys, it's like the government waste is it's unfathomable. It's like the military.
Tyler, what would you know about government?
Man, that's the thing. It's like I always tell people, I'm like, dude, look, you can say what you want, but I work for the government. Like, I know how absolutely insane it is. I've flown on planes with millions of dollars of cash that were just freaking
They hand out.
that going where? I have no idea. You know, it's crazy to me.
Really?
And it's
Really?
it's the stuff I'm
So
talking.
episode that we did with the.
Yeah, I said it when we were on the plane. I said, I was like, I
what a
was
fucking
never
crazy thing to say.
I was like, I never flew with this much money, but remember you and I were talking about. But my point being is just what I saw personally, not what I've heard or heard secondhand, let alone thirdhand. Just what I've seen personally in like Afghanistan and Iraq. It's the craziest. It's just we hand out money like it's water. It's crazy. And I mean, it's
Can't print
absolutely
water.
ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and you know, I am very happy with somebody coming in to reduce the absolute waste, because it's taxpayer money, and that's not okay.
Somebody that's had to actually run a business and make a profit for a couple decades and know how to do it, that'd be cool.
If I have to hear one more person that can't spell the word tariff have an emotional crisis about tariffs, I'm going to lose my mind.
But whatever will we do without Canada or Mexico?
The new meme.
okay.
So somebody replied to my fucking tweet about the tariff thing. I was just like, man, it feels like Trudeau's just doing as much damage as he can before he leaves. Somebody's like, I don't want to be too harsh with my words here, but I feel like if we keep going this way with American-Canadian relations, we won't be there when you need us. And I'm just like,
Oh no!
Not that we haven't been on the same side on a bunch of stuff, but like, need is a strong word.
Was he speaking from the Canadian perspective?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that changes things.
Yeah,
like
Trudeau Mexicans are pissed.
Yeah, Canada with Trudeau and Canada's changed like so much. I used to love going back to Vancouver, working there, doing all stuff, but like even just to see.
Vancouver, just for a reference, Vancouver's fucking wild. If you live there, like cost of living is insane.
It's the most expensive city in the world.
Dude, it used to be so beautiful. Oh my god!
People cannot get into the market. Young people cannot buy houses. They can't. The rent is like everything about it is so. The price to go when you go film there, and just to go get you always know because you have your per diem what they give you when you show up to film, and you go go stock up the fridge, and you will. go to like a regular, they have a Safeway up there. You'll go to a regular Safeway, which is like a
Grocery
store.
yeah. Just a
One pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck,
For
I'm out of money.
$100 Canadian, you will get maybe 5 items tops. Like,
Wow.
and it is not good.
And beer, like beer markup is
yeah.
like you're paying almost triple even for
Yeah.
like booze.
I mean, I remember being a kid
This is
and like
2000.
buying
Yeah.
books. I'll just give you an example. You buy a book or a toy. You know, at least when I was younger, it was always like this. Everything you buy had an actual price tag on it, right? And on the price tag was cost and then Canadian. I just remember being a kid and being like, well, I'm glad I don't live there. You know what I mean? Like everything's 20% more. I'm like, oh,
Imagine having to pay in CAD.
savagery,
And the
right?
sad thing is, like Canadians are awesome. They're great people. They're like, they love their sport. They love their hockey. They're very patriotic people. But it's been really sad just to see what like bad management can do in there, and just how there's no way that they can get out of the position that they're in.
Every time I get upset with Canada, I see immediate footage of farmers from Canada blowing manure onto government buildings. I was like, never mind. I have faith. I have confidence in these people.
With the trucker, remember the trucker thing?
Yeah, the trucker thing was
That was
rad.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like those guys, like the Canadians are awesome. They are awesome. And they that whole thing, what they ended up doing to the truckers after, where they were like freezing their bank accounts and stuff. That was just like such overreach. I mean, Trudeau is on tape saying, when somebody asks like, "What's one of your favorite countries?" and he says China. He says that on an interview. Like, you're like, what? Why would anybody compare Canada, you know?
I feel like it's the same as the United States, where like you have people in the rural Canadians are fucking dope.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And then
Awesome
you get
people.
people that live in the fake world that is a big city.
Yeah.
And they think they know how the world works. It's
Yeah.
like, homie, you live in a
Yeah.
illusion.
How he
100%.
feels about Canada is exactly the way I feel about California.
No.
You know, I grew up in California. I was born and raised in California, you know, and, you know, California in the 80s was, and the 90s for that.
Yeah, in the
matter,
early
was
2000s.
Fucking
California was
rad,
the
dude.
best.
California was awesome. The California I grew up in Bakersfield, though, by the way. Bakersfield, California is basically, if Bakersfield, California switched places with Austin, Texas, the United States would make more sense. Because it's true. Because
You mean Little LA?
Dude, Bakersfield is the country music capital other than Nashville. So it's like Bakersfield, Buck Owens, Dwight Yoakam, all those things. So it's like Bakersfield was like Texas and California. The oil industry was one of the main reasons why. But yeah, dude, I used to go to the longest drugstore, and there was a pistol counter from here to the wall. It was huge, you know. It was just a very different place, and just seeing what California's become, you know, in the last 20 years is just. It's sad. It's honestly sad.
I mean, we left 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and just to see what I like California and that whole Los Angeles. It's such great memories for me because it gave me the start of my career. I remember I have so many moments in my life that were life-changing moments as a young man in that area. And then just when you go back and visit, even when we're filming, when I flew back the last couple of seasons, and just to see, because you'd get an Airbnb or whatever it is, and you would just, there was so many years like when I was living out of my car, I didn't feel like unsafe. There, you feel unsafe like at all times. There's like an edge that comes over you where you're like,
dude, we used to film, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but I'll tell you, it's the fact. We filmed a third, which is a lot. We filmed 130 something episodes of SEAL Team. Debatably, a third of those were filmed in downtown LA, which you wouldn't expect, but we filmed about a third of those in downtown LA. And dude, we filmed in some bad areas. Like we filmed in an alley where they were like throwing shit on us. Like,
Literal human.
Dude, it was crazy. I mean, we've seen quite a lot of things, but dude, we'd film in areas that, you know, security would have to escort you, you know, to the car. It was that bad. And dude, downtown was just out of control.
we had a guy in a tent. I remember Max and I were in a tent. He's just pounding his bishop.
Good
in his
shit.
tent, just jerking off in his tent, and our trailer doors open.
Bishop is what I'm calling him from now on out.
Literally, he's fucking. We open the trailer.
Usually it's the other way around.
And he's in a blue tent on the other side of the gate, and he's just sitting there. And I'm like, Max, is that guy like a fan of yours or something? He's fucking. He's on some drugs, and he's just fucking.
I mean, Max is a good-looking
He's
guy.
a good-looking dude. I get it,
it.
buddy. I get it.
With you on film going for the first time to LA.
okay.
Not pounding
I was like, you caught that on film? Like,
There's cameras in the unsub house.
no pounding of the bishop.
It's a different show.
Going to LA for the first time.
Yeah.
And your reactions of like Hunter Street and downtown LA.
It's a fucking dump, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
is
it was never like that.
No,
There's one
dude.
street from was it what's the
Rodeo or
Skid
Row.
Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
And not
block.
the 80s band.
No.
Yeah.
Much better.
Great band. 18
What's
in
it?
Life, classic.
Dog eating a rat. It was, people. You get
Homeless guy eating the dog.
The zombies, the fucking fentanyl zombies.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Good
Well, you
zombies,
see, but you see what happened in San Francisco. Like, have you guys been to San Francisco before?
We have, but I'm not going back.
I'm going in 2 months.
I shot a series up in San Francisco, and it was terrifying. It looked like. Like it did, like it just looked like an old video game that you play in these like in the
Narc.
Dude, oh my god. Classic, dude. All the needles falling out of the person when you shoot them. Dude, you gotta get Narc. Eli, you need Narc as an arcade game in here.
Oh, yeah, that's a good arcade game to
dude.
put in the background.
You like shoot him and the freaking money and drugs are falling out of him. Dude, that game was
I think there's an actual
This
app.
is a Nintendo
I think
game.
they have
by
an
the way.
actual,
legit.
I think there's an actual app that they have where people have actually shit, and you can put,
Yeah, you can track
Oh, yeah,
human
yeah, yeah.
feces
It's
all
like
over the city.
human
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Tracker or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
BC's
and it's literally
tracker,
like it's glowing. It's just one big pile of like dots where people. But
Well, it was we took Cody's girlfriend to LA because we did like a movie premiere like I don't know 6 months ago or some shit like that, and she thought we were kidding, but it's like we were in LA walking the street for maybe 10 minutes, and we're just like, oh, first human shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she's just like no, we weren't exaggerating. It's literally that bad.
Dude, everything changed. I mean, look, it was on a decline, but dude, COVID is when everything hard changed. I mean, it changed overnight, you know.
Most small mom and pops shut down. It was like 70%.
We had a bunch of friends that lost like generational restaurants that were just gone within a
But I
month.
mean, the homeless stuff was out of control. But again, it wasn't that, you know, suddenly the restaurant owners are on the street. It was that what they were tolerating. And I'll tell you the craziest thing, and again, people can say whatever they want. I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was there when they changed. I think you had already left. I was there when they changed the law to allow the under $1,000 theft.
Yes.
I was there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was in Albertsons. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was in Albertsons in what was the name of the area I lived in? Studio City. So it was in Albertsons in Studio City on the corner of Ventura and I forget the other.
Is like a grocery store.
Yeah. It's Safeway, same
Same thing.
ish.
H-E-B for
Normal
everyone in
grocery store,
Texas.
not super cheap, not not high end. Just a normal grocery store. So they just changed the law. I was there, and again, I'm not exaggerating what I'm about to say. Dude, you just see person after person come in, grab a handful of food, and just straight
Not
walk
even
out.
run, just walk
No,
out.
dude, not run, not even be. I mean, chill as a cucumber. Grab a thing of food and just walk out. And I remember seeing it for the first time and being like,
yeah.
you know, wait, what? My brain's processing, and then I figure out what it is, and then I started getting like, dude, and again, I wanted to like hurt them, you know what I mean? And I'm
But
like,
then you'll get arrested.
Then you'll get arrested, and it was like this weird struggle that I had where I wanted to do them physical harm, which, by the way, I know is not the correct action to somebody just stealing food, but like
It's still
I wanted.
it's fair to be angry when you live your whole life following the rules and then you see somebody brazenly break it with no consequences.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they would have grabbed it and like did some effort running, I'd be like, okay, you know, but like just
Pretend like it's not
just
okay.
pretend like it's not okay, but just to
Give me that at least.
act
Cover your
like,
face.
You're going to become a vigilante riding the New York subway?
I did, and it was really frustrating. And what's crazy is at the time they had like one security guard, and then over time, you know, within 6 months they had 6. Because they couldn't. You couldn't, as a person, stop. And a guy tried to pass this law in California, which, to be fair, I do understand what his thing was. He didn't want it was a law which got a lot of shit, but I actually agree with the guy's intent, and even though it was a horrible idea, but his intent was to pass a law so that bosses wouldn't force employees that weren't security people to stop theft, which made it was like, but he went about it in a very stupid way, which was it made it like illegal for non-security people to stop theft, which was a horrible idea. But again, I do when stupid, politicians, I look at the intent and I go,
there's none of those.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I see what your intent.
What a hot take.
Yeah. So that one, I'm like, okay, I see the intent. It wasn't a ridiculous intent, but it's ridiculous in how it's going to freaking
famously
play out.
road to heaven paved with good intentions.
Exactly. And so, it's just like, dude, in the past, I used to, in the early 2000s, I used to have to go to Portland. Dude, Portland used to be a beautiful,
amazing,
I love
beautiful
I used
city.
to race there.
Oh, dude, it's done.
Great. Remember the Oregon County
done.
Fair?
I've not
It's like a big
since
deadhead
2010 was the last time I was in Portland.
Yeah.
It's been a long ass time.
Oregon is
will not go.
one of
Post
the best places,
2020,
yeah.
done.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
Infected with homeless.
Dude, well, I mean, during the Summer of Love, I remember
and
a lot of
drug
that was like based out of Portland. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the people that were throwing
Well,
IEDs and shit.
Well, they would go in and they would just find a house that somebody wasn't in, and they would just take it, and they wouldn't, and the people would come back and be like, and they couldn't get them out of the house. They would just move in, and there was nothing they could do to get them out of the house. I was like, what?
Damn it! Now I need. What is that guy's name? I will say it was one of the. It was a Twitch channel that popped off. I forget. He's an Asian dude, and a squatter tried to take over his house. Bro, that was one of the most hilarious things I have ever seen. Because she wouldn't move out, and he was like, okay. Fine. He just invites Twitch people to come. He sets up alarms so if you do donations or subscribe, that blares music.
Oh, dude.
To her room because he's like, fine, we'll all live here.
Because he can't legally evict her.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, let's have fun with it.
So he's calling the cops and he's like, I just gotta walk this floor, and he's just hitting her door with the mop. The cops show up, they're like, are you? He's like, she pushed something under the door. I was just cleaning my house. And the cops are like, God.
Fair enough.
Dude, they would not touch him. So they were just but she's the one that would call the cops 12 times a day.
You know the cops thought it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
They would show up every day.
Dude,
that dude made thousands of dollars because then it started bringing in
hundreds
of thousands of views and donations on the minute blaring music.
That is a dude taking lemons and making lemonade right there. Good on you. Yeah.
Millions of views.
Dude, it's I won't rent out property in California because of the laws are so disproportionately weighted to the
it doesn't make
tenants.
sense.
It's crazy.
We lived across in Redondo Beach, right across from the Redondo Beach Police Department, and because of the show, the cops had recognized
literally across the street.
It was literally right there. It was right there.
Yeah.
And so I became good buddies with a lot of cops, and there was this law that was passed. It was like no bail, no jail. So they were arresting.
Hold the fuck! Like you don't have to post.
If no bail usually means jail.
Yeah.
So if you can't have bail, you're out.
No, you'd basically go in. You didn't have to. They'd take you down a thing. They'd take your
you
picture.
don't need to post bail, nor are you going to jail.
They'd catch a guy getting arrested.
It's basically catch and release.
They'd bring him down to the thing. They'd take his picture, let him out, and 4 hours later, the same cop is picking up the same dude again, breaking into another house.
So
you arrest him like 4 times a night.
If you want to see some fun videos, I live currently.
That's insanity.
I live currently in Orange County.
Look it up. It's insanity.
It's called catch and release. So if you want to look up, that's
everyone's
catch and
mad.
Release. That's catch and release.
I'm more confused than I'm very
it doesn't
angry,
make sense.
but I'm more
the cops
confused than
are
anything.
the cops would say we're so frustrated because we're literally picking up the same person, and they're taking the picture, they're flipping off the camera. They're like,
it's the same thing on the southern border right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully not anymore. But
a second ago,
you just saw it all the time. Like I talked to a lot of those dudes.
Rocco on the show talked about like Vincent Vargas on the show was like,
Rocco.
Rocco. Vincent Rocco.
His book is amazing,
dude. He would say he was like, what were the rules? You can't touch them, and if they cross you can't touch them, and then it's you get in trouble if you.
Because if you touch them and then they leave your custody or they go back or whatever, that's a federal investigation.
So they let them pass, and Rocky was like, "Yeah, we're literally just like."
He's a great dude.
Oh, I love Rocky. Like Vince.
He's in Texas, isn't he?
He's moving.
Well, he used to
back
be
to-
Border Patrol.
Yeah.
That's dude. When we were in Colombia, this is a true story.
Oh, yeah.
When we were in Colombia filming, which was in spring, right?
Yeah.
April. Yeah, April.
Of last year.
It just so happened, which like, what are the odds? We're in Colombia filming, and it just so I start seeing these dudes, and I'm like, same recognized same. Like I'm like, these aren't normal gringos. I'm like, these are federales, right? Like, and I just start seeing these guys. I'm like, dude, these guys are in government. You know what I mean? I could just tell. So we finally approached them. Turns out that while we happen to be in Colombia, the whole cast is at this hotel. They're having this, and I mean, we're talking FBI, DEA, agency, every three-letter agency, NSA.
All the guys that were there at Jan 6th.
They're all there. They're all there.
Who said that?
They're having a what's it called? They're having a conference to basically try and figure out what to do with the border. And this is this is in April, so it's like there's stuff on the news, but like no one knows, it hadn't really all come out yet. And I just went up to him. I was like, "Hey, dudes," and I
You
talked to
sniffed
a
him
couple
out.
guys. Yeah, and I started talking to him like, "Hey, like no shit, what's going on right now? Like legitimately." And they're like, "Bro, like this is forget all the politics and everything. This is what is happening." And basically they're like and it was, let me be clear. We're in Colombia. We're not in Mexico. We're in Colombia. And what it was, because through the Colombian Channel and through everything, it was the cartels were bringing all this, not just drugs, but actual terrorists through. And that's what the conference was trying to figure out a solution.
The Venezuelan gangs that were coming through.
And there was probably also talking about the Venezuelan gangs at that time, so it was, and he was just like, this is what's happening. And so I was like, okay, that's, it's officially going on, not unofficially.
It's weird too how much like you do not hear about it in mainstream news, but like the amount of people that you are for sure confirmed terrorists caught on the border.
Yeah, and
never makes anything.
That's what they told me in April. So like I knew then from the horse's mouth, they're like, this is what is actually happening. It's not being reported. Here's why. Blah blah blah. And it was really interesting.
It's eye opening on how much is not.
Oh, dude,
But to see, how most like government people like FBI or whatever they always downplay like, it's not that bad or whatever. This dude point blank was like, it's so bad right now.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, when somebody says,
and we
it
weren't
like
talking like politics.
No.
We were just talking, bros.
Yeah, it was. Good.
Let me tell you an FBI story, by the way. So I don't think I told this one last time.
No, I didn't even know part of this of your life.
I happened to be.
Tyler has a lot of different.
I had a lot of random stories. So I happened to be at
Tyler's just a regular infantry dude. It's crazy he got to do so much
with the
cool stuff.
CQB AT4. No, so I happened
One
to
of those regular infantry.
Exactly.
Got it.
I happened to be at the FBI Academy, and for I don't know, it was there a decent amount of time,
How old are you?
3 weeks, 25.
Just hanging out.
So this is before.
This is during.
I was doing some training stuff there. Again, it's not secrets.
Details not important.
It's a long. Nothing.
I was on
Things were happening.
Nothing secret or ninja. It was just, it's a long explanation to explain it. And so, anyways, I was there at the FBI Academy, and they had a graduation happening at the FBI Academy. So I go to the FBI Academy, or I go to the, I was at the Academy, and they're doing, I forget why I was there, but it was at night, and it's like they had their graduation, and now it's literally their like after party for all these new FBI agents, and there's like 50 of them, I don't know. And dude, they're doing karaoke, and like I just sat there, and they're like getting hammered and doing FBI agent karaoke, all brand new agents, and I'm just like watching them get up and do karaoke, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to take the FBI seriously again. I'm just watching them all hammered, like fucking slobbering all over each other. And
My graduation was
I'm like,
what specifically is FBI agent karaoke?
I named some songs.
I don't remember the songs, but I just remember seeing like all these like. I just remember like I'm like my image of the agency is like forever ruined by watching these just drunk agents slobbering all over themselves.
It was like 10 years ago. You guys remember that video of the guy from the wedding reception, the FBI agent that did the backflip and his gun falls out?
Oh yeah, it goes off.
And then he goes to grab it and accidentally fires it.
I forgot about that.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, he got in trouble.
I would assume so.
It was a P320. It wasn't his fault.
Sorry, they do that on their own.
I'll tell you another FBI story because it's really funny. I don't think I told this last time, but this is a true FBI story.
There's a lot of Tyler stories. I have no.
Well, this
fucking
one's
clue.
great. So I was with a good buddy of mine, Jack Osborne, and I was
We
guarding.
just talked about
just
him.
talking
He's a
about Jack.
great dude,
Jack's a
man.
great
We
dude.
were literally on
Like 2 hours ago.
2 hours
Oh,
ago
really?
because Jack texted Demo that he wanted Demo to wish
Happy birthday to his dad.
Ozzy Osborne, and so Demo was like, "Oh, got it," and they stacked up pallets of water, and Demo ran through it. He's like, "Yeah, we sent it," and then 10 minutes later, Aussie sent a video back. Aussie sent a video back. He's like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, Ozzy's a maniac. Like,
You gotta tell the Mars Rover thing.
oh, okay, yeah, I will tell that
What
story.
the
That'll be funny.
What's happening?
So let me tell you an FBI agent story about my friend Ozzy Osborne that involves an astronaut.
I'll tell them both quickly. So basically,
No, take your time. Please elaborate in detail.
I don't know if you've looked at the duration, the watch time of this podcast so far, but we got time.
okay. So Jack's like, hey, dude, and I'd been friends with Jack. Actually, Jack and I were roommates. I moved into his guest house for like, I don't know, a year and a half and
Great
lived
dude.
at his guest house. Great
A
guy.
great shooter too.
Great
He's like
guy.
a legit
I give
shooter.
up.
Great guy. I mean, dude, Jack can tell you some stories. I mean, Jack was, partying at like 14 years old on Sunset with Paris Hilton. And like, dude, he's got some crazy stories. He put it this way. He was in rehab at 18. Literally in rehab at 18. But, okay, so Jack's like, hey, dude, you wanna come, guard Aussie or, my dad and I for the show that they were doing called the World Detour, which I don't know if you ever saw it. It was a great show on Nat Geo, I believe. Don't quote me on it. Maybe Discovery, I don't remember. And basically it was just them it's just Jack and Aussie driving around, basically learning history and kind of doing cool stuff. I don't know how else to describe it. And Aussie, by the way, Aussie is a huge military history fanatic, by the way. Like, Aussie loves military history. I remember showing up one time, Aussie opens the door, and he's like, hey, I'm watching Vietnam in HD.
That's a good impersonation.
I'm watching
Chase, pull up text.
He's like, I'm watching Vietnam in HD. And we go inside, and Jack and I watch freaking Vietnam in HD for like 4 hours with Aussie. And like, he knew his stuff. But anyways, so
That's amazing.
I was like, sure, dude, I'll come. And I was doing bodyguarding at the time.
I'd come too.
So now I'm bodyguarding. I'm bodyguarding Jack. Dude, like, I'm bodyguarding. So, dude, you should absolutely have Jack on the show. He can tell you stories.
100%.
Blow your mind up.
Jack and Aussie, more than welcome
Dude.
on.
White Sabbath.
White Sabbath. So basically, freaking I'll tell the Mars one because it's pretty crazy. So the guy
Jesus,
who ran
fucking just stop. Just
the
go.
guy who what's it called? Houston, we have a problem. NASA. The guy who ran NASA at Houston, I guess, was a huge Black Sabbath fan. So somehow they got in
I
contact.
thought you were going to say Nazi.
But he's
Also
basically
that. Yeah. Operation Paperclip was a mother.
that's more on the covert. So.
Then you names fucking convention centers after.
So he invites Ozzy and Jack to Houston to the NASA, whatever the space center. I think it's called the NASA Space Center down there. Basically, carte blanche, dude. Do whatever you want and film it. So they do all kinds of stuff. We got a great tour. Jack and I literally talked to an astronaut for like 2 hours. It was awesome. It was I learned a lot. Well, one of the things they had Ozzy do was drive the Mars Rover. And I'm not joking. They put Ozzy Osbourne in control of the Mars Rover.
On Mars.
No.
Sort of.
He was.
Oh no, it's here, right? So basically,
I didn't know if it was just like remotely piloting,
No.
like or some shit. Like that's so crazy.
So by the way, dude, you say that you're joking right now, but you're not. So it's called. I believe it was called the Mars Rover. If it wasn't, then
if it's
but it's this vehicle built for Mars. It's not it's a drivable. It's actually more like, and we can look it up on the episode, or you guys can. But it's basically like the Mars truck. It was a truck designed for Mars when humans are there.
Oh,
and they basically
not like the Curiosity.
No,
Rover.
not Curiosity. I think they called it the Mars
sit
Rover.
in and drive it.
Yeah, but it's actually like an SUV, Mars SUV. I forget what the name was. And they basically had built, in outside, they'd built this, 4 football field size area that had red dust and rocks, and it looks like Mars. And obviously, they built it. So they put Aussie in there. Now the best part is I'm not in the vehicle. In the vehicle is like the guy who knew the vehicle the best, Aussie and Jack, right? They're all mic'd up. We're 200 yards away.
And they said they could go over anything.
And I'm standing with like 6 engineer straight up nerds from NASA, right? That like built the thing, and the producer and a couple other people, and we're listening. We can hear everything, and it's like, so this vehicle is incapable of getting stuck. All right, incapable.
And the business we call this foreshadowing.
And that's the thing, is this whole sequence was like it was planned. I was there, dude. This sequence was not planned. They were like, it's like the unsinkable Molly Brown. This vehicle cannot get stuck, etc. It's got 6 wheels. Each one's independent suspension. Each one has its own front and reverse, and they're going on about what an engineering marvel this vehicle is, right? And so I can just picture Ozzy's like, okay, challenge accepted. Right? And these engineers are like whispering, he's gonna, there's nothing, it's unstoppable, it's the best thing ever, and they're just whispering in the background. So they let and that guy drives around a little bit, then they give the controls for Aussie. I shit you not, for whatever fucking reason, these guys put in this area a rock as big as this fucking table, just in the middle of the fucking thing. Now Aussie starts driving about 100 yards away from it.
How fast does this thing go?
Not
like
fast, but not
right?
slow. It's like maybe 15 miles an hour.
Bicycle speed.
Fast enough for you to know where this is going.
And I'm watching it drive, and it just occurs to me, he's going to head straight for that fucking rock, right? Now, it's also pretty obvious to me that no one had ever headed straight for that rock, right? It's there as like, hey, that's an obstacle, obviously drive around it, right? No one's like, that rock is not there for you to drive over, right? It's obviously that everyone goes around it. You would obviously go around it. Well, you tell Aussie that thing can go over anything, he's gonna freaking go over anything. So he's driving straight at it. And it occurs to me, I'm like, oh shit, this is not gonna work out well. The engineers in behind me, as it gets about 50 yards away, are like, he's not. No. And I'm like, oh, yes, he is. Dude, he hits that thing straight on. It starts going up, and you just start hearing the whispering, oh, it'll be fine. This is going to take that. No one's ever went over that before. Yeah, but it's designed for it, blah, 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 blah. And he freaking goes up on it, and then he gets on top of it, and then nothing. And dude, the panic starts very slowly. It's like one engineer going, it'll be off in a second. It'll be off in a few seconds, right? And it just starts building. And like over the course of a minute, you just hear these engineers go from like absolute confidence to absolute panic. They're like, oh my God. You're like, no way did he like, and by the way, I'm missing a piece I should have said in the beginning. In the beginning, I forget how much, but it was like a crazy amount of money, like $5 billion that they had spent on this vehicle, right? It was an insane
GDP of a small country.
It was an insane.
Sounds about right.
It was
that sounds about government.
It was an obscene amount of money, right? And dude, these guys just start freaking out. He's on it for, I don't know. I just have to watch the episode. He's on it for like 2 minutes and ain't moving at all. And it's this huge boulder. It looks ridiculous. It's just like balanced on top of it.
Meanwhile, one of the Doge guys is watching this podcast, just like, Mars truck.
No go, right? And so long story short, they finally freaking, he has to give control over to the engineer, and that guy like adjusts the pressure, deflates the time. I mean, it literally was on there for like 3 minutes, and finally he got it off. But dude, like, Aussie stuck the Mars freaking rover. No doubt about it. I watched it happen. It was a great episode, dude. You got to see it. So the FBI story, real quick. Is,
I like that was a secondary.
Yeah, well, that was
the
all
ones we have.
That was all in build-up, right? All right. So the FBI story is we're at the FBI. So somehow Jack and the producers convinced them to go to the FBI. Again, random. So I'm at the FBI Academy again.
This is what, like Quantico?
Yeah, Quantico, okay. Yeah. And
we found out when you're friends with certain people.
Yeah, you can go anywhere. World's your oyster. So,
redacted.
We're at the FBI Academy, and they're doing all this different stuff. They showed some history stuff, the guns, all this. And now we're at the, which is pretty famous, which is the FBI's quote-unquote Hogan's Alley, right? So it's like their little tactical training portion, which is very world-renowned, right? And so their shooting instructor this guy starts doing this briefing, and he's like, yeah, so, this is our Hogan's Alley. It was basically, they were showing like the FBI's training process, right? And they start saying like, okay, so this is our Hogan's Alley. It's very famous, and this is like the hardest part of the shooting qual for the FBI, which is true, or at least I'm told. And then he's like, and this is our lead shooting instructor. Now here's a huge mistake that he made. He's like, this is our leading shooting instructor. He is the best shooter at the FBI. Like, he's the lead shooting instructor. Nobody could beat him. He's just amazing. And I'm like,
and Ozzy Osborne beat him.
No, so then they go. No, so then he goes. No, you're not. You're not far off. So then they go. Oh, no. So then they go. Who here? Now we're going to do a little bit of training. Who here wants to volunteer? Well, it's Jack and Aussie are the only two people on the show. So Aussie's like, Jack. So
I want to shoot the big gun.
It was pretty obvious to me that no one on the show briefed the FBI that Jack is a great shooter.
Oh,
really? He's a really good shooter.
I've shot with Jack a million times. In fact, Jack and I, that's how we met. We met shooting on the range. So Jack is a really legit shooter. He's also really good at jiu-jitsu, right? So,
and to give reference, when you're a decent shot, how many rounds have you probably shot in your...
Me? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I literally used to shoot 1,000 rounds a day. That's no joke. When it was free. when it was free.
Yeah. That is the big indicator. It's free. A certain time period of his life.
Free for me.
1,000 rounds a day.
I used to shoot 1,000 rounds a day. Yeah, that's true. And
to be fair, I'd rather spend the money as a taxpayer making sure you can train with free ammo than $5 billion on a truck that gets stuck on a rock.
Ozzy Osborne crashes into a rock.
Buttons.
I love. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love Crazy Train. But
I don't want him driving the Mars Rover. If they were smart over the episode, they should have played Crazy Train over the freaking thing. They could have got the license. Come on. So basically, it was obvious to me that no one told the FBI that Jack is like a really good shooter. So, Jack's like, I'll do it. And I mean, dude, if you could have seen it's on camera, but the FBI, the agent that was like the shooting instructors, dude, he was just so confident. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this Hollywood, music royalty rich kid, I'm going to smoke this guy. He's like, so they get Sims pistols, Sims Glocks, right? Oh. And they're doing 4, again, I got to watch the episode, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sitting there, here's a critical part.
For the sake of the audience, simunition, like Sim pistols.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So it's I believe they were using Glock 19s, if I remember correctly, it was either Sims or FTX for its force, I don't remember. But it's basically shooting a plastic paint bullet, for lack of a term. So the gun
and they fucking hurt.
And they do hurt. Yeah. But they function, it's a real gun, just has a Sims barrel, and obviously Sims bullets, right? And which have it's a unique casing, but it's a plastic bullet with paint in the plastic, and or a variation depending on the brand. So they get the gun, and I'm with the lead producer, and I just like see this, and I just saw. I based everything. First of all, I knew how good Jack was, but I saw the FBI dude, his overconfidence, and I just went to the producer and I go, mark my words, Jack's going to beat this guy. And they set up 4 drills, and I don't even remember what they are. They do the first one. Dude, out of 4 drills, again, clock the show for accuracy, but from what I remember of the 4 drills, Jack won, I believe, 3 out of the 4. And the one, if I'm not mistaken, that the FBI agent won, he cheated.
You're so mad.
How'd he cheat?
He shot
I'm trying to remember, but he did something that wasn't in the rules. I don't remember what it was, but it was
so
like...
mad.
I don't remember what it was, but I just remember. I remember watching it and being like, "That wasn't in the rules, right?" But this, again, the one he won after he lost, then he started getting panicking and worried, and then he started cheating. But the other best part is, one of the 4 drills, I think on one of the ones he lost, the FBI agent shot the cameraman.
What?
Yeah, with Sims, with the Sims bullet.
Pulled a regular Alec Baldwin.
Maybe he was a little bit. Maybe he was a little. Hey, maybe he was a little bit. Maybe he was a little bit rusty.
Dear God.
How did he shoot the cameraman?
He missed Jack, went wide, and shot the cameraman. But yeah, so
super easy when you have a gun.
Jack crushed him in the drills. I don't even remember exactly what they are, but Jack crushed him, and I was like, dude, this guy had no idea what he was getting into. Dude, Jack trains a lot, so it was pretty funny. But that was my. I mean, look, man, it comes down to it's like you're talking law enforcement, federal law enforcement. Anywhere. In my experience, it's like, dude. You got to be humble, and just because you got 3 letters behind your name, or just because you were at a certain unit or agency or whatever, dude, it doesn't make you better than anyone else. You know what I mean? Every case, every person, every situation is unique and individual. And dude, there are good people in the higher you get to in the more prestigious units or 3-letter places, the less bad people there are. But there's still bad people. There's good people and bad people at every unit, every agency, whatever. And just because you're in a place that maybe has an elite, name or title or image, it doesn't make you better than everyone else. And anyone can beat you, and there's someone always better.
The vast majority of the friends or the people that I've met that have been part of those like tier 1 units and stuff like that, there are some exceptions, don't get me wrong, but like those are usually the most laid back, chill guys. They don't have a bunch of shit to prove.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, I know. One of my best friends. I mean, dude, he is the baddest dude in the world. He's done everything, and
that's a.
You would. No,
AJ, he's talking about you.
If he was here, never wear a shirt that says "strong like whiskey."
No, but if he was here, you guys would have no idea. He's just the most chill, it's the people that you think are, the best among us are the people that you never expect.
Warrior's Heart owner, like perfect.
Tom's a machine.
Dude, Tom is one of the most unassuming humans you will ever meet.
Yes,
and you're like,
this is true.
And then you talk to him and you're like, oh yeah, Mom.
I had that moment last time I was here.
With who?
We got done filming one podcast. You're like, yeah, we're going to go to the pre-range day party for like 30 minutes, and we got to come back and film a podcast with Terry. Yeah. And I was like, okay, dope. Who's Terry? And he's like, oh, it's that guy right over there that was like watching the whole previous podcast. And I was like, okay, dope. All right, nice to meet you, Terry. Blah, blah, blah. I come over here. Who the fuck is Terry? And he's like, oh, he's the guy that saved Captain Phillips. Oh, okay.
But again, so chill. Like, we hung out with him for the entire fucking day. Didn't know a damn thing. Like, obviously, you could tell, like, from the look of the guy. It's like, okay, he's like been there and done some shit. But, like, he'd never be the one to tell you.
No, Tom is that way. I mean, I was we were in the same...
military.
Well, yeah, but in the same.
I'm trying to get
when you break it down, we were in a smaller unit together. Is what I'm trying to say.
We high-fived each other in the hallway.
Well, we were, a lot of guys, you don't see because you're on opposite, places, and you just never see him. But Tom, I was with, and he was much closer than other people were. So I saw firsthand. I mean, he's the baddest dude out there. And again, you would never expect it in a conversation with him, but he's a machine. Yeah. I did, to be honest, though, if I'm being perfectly honest, while I was there, I thought Tom was like, this guy's way too chill. Like,
dude, Tom is.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, honestly, I remember back then thinking, man, why is this? And I was young, young moron. But I just remember like, how is this guy so stoic? I remember thinking that back then. And then when I was at Warrior's Heart, and I was actually talking to Tom, and I kind of talked to him about it. Then I was like, dude, I didn't know. Because I didn't know that you got sober, like, I think in the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, I didn't know that about you. And that would have, to me, that kind of solved that stoicism mystery of that time. Like, he had already gone through so much personal development, so much personal growth. He was already on like another Zen level. Yeah. I hadn't even, others. Not only was I not there, I hadn't even been an asshole yet before. You know what I mean? Like, I still had to become an asshole and then achieve, some level of personal growth. He had already been through the whole thing. So yeah, he's a great dude.
He's a super cool dude. With you, like AJ, with your side, what was one of the stories, like probably you've heard Tyler or another person tell where you're like, Jesus, fuck, what the
man, there was.
Can I say this real quick though? What? Okay. You got to understand. He tells me stories. Like, it's not me saying stories that I'm like, that he's like, oh, that's crazy combat story. I hear his Hollywood stories, bro, and I'm like, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. My stories are stupid compared to his stories.
Tells you what I fucking Hollywood stories, bro. How many kids in that basement? No way.
You pay how much for hot dogs?
Oh, burn. No.
This one time, Tom Cruise, he bought a $20,000 coat rack from Wayfair and got a coat rack. He was so pissed.
Those dating parties were crazy, bro.
He basically like lived Entourage.
Oh no!
Am I wrong?
No, it was a crazy
dude.
town.
House in the Hills. 8 chicks in the like a single man's dream. Like, dude, he has the craziest stories you've ever heard. And that's why, like, he didn't geek out to my stories. I geeked out to his stories. I'm like, that's so cool.
I remember when I met my wife.
I said to her, please tell this story. It's the best story ever.
I was listening because I knew she was going to be the one. I was like, listen, it's probably going to hear a lot of things. I think people are coming up and say stuff, and she go, yeah. I'm like, well, various different stories happened, and I go, I just want you to know, all of them are true. She was like, everything, and then
are you going to tell that story?
Yeah, well, yeah. Then she goes. There was this one girl, or somebody was saying there was like, yeah, one time AJ came out at a party with just a hat on his hammer, and was walking around. And she looks at me and I go, hey, that's true, babe. I did that. And she was like, and she's like, well, it sounds like my husband. It was like,
will you tell at least a version of your meeting your wife story?
Oh yeah, that's easy. Yeah,
dude. This story defines.
We got the hat
AJ.
On the hammer story, so
this story defines AJ.
So. I just wanted the hat on the hammer. I just wanted to see if I could carry a Stetson and walk into a room, and I accomplished the mission.
I love Connor's face right now. Connor's like,
what he's not saying is it was a small Stetson.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, one of those ones they put on monkeys.
No, it's that Turd Ferguson hat.
Hey,
so
I'm Turd Ferguson.
I had a few cocktails, but no, I when I was in Vegas. I hadn't really slept the night before, and I was going to go with my buddy.
Why not?
What's that?
Why
That's
not?
gambling.
It'd be like that.
It'd be like we just went to bed last week at like 6 in the morning from gambling and SHOT Show.
And so we went right to I was wearing a suit from the night before because we had some other dinner thing that we went to. It wasn't really that I'd wear suits a lot, but I just had been wearing it. And I was like, fuck it. We're going over to this. It was at that wet club at
Wet Republic.
Wet Republic.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I was with my buddy. I'm like, let's just,
I don't know
let's
that
just,
one either, Trap.
Let's just go to the actual the pool. I'm like, let's not go back to the room because it was at another hotel. I'm like, well, I'll just buy shorts there. So we stopped by like a store, grab some shorts stuff, show up to the thing, the party's going, and as I walk in, I see this smoke show in the hot tub in a yellow bikini, and I'm like, oh my god, that girl is so hot, and I am in that zone of like zero fucks.
You're a machine you're like,
and I'm like,
in the zone.
My eyes are bloodshot, but I just saw her and I was like talking to her. So the waitress was going by, I grabbed like 2 Coronas, I jumped in the hot tub, fully dressed in my suit, like shoes, everything, got in beside her, and she turns around, she's like, what the fuck? She's like, why are you wearing a suit in the hot tub? I'm like, why are you wearing a bikini?
That's such an unrebuttal to that question all of a sudden.
And I handed her a beer, and I ended up marrying her. And we were together pretty much ever since. That was my entrance. And truthfully, if I had not done that, I don't think I'd had the balls to go up or catch her attention. She was like, okay, all right. And then from that was, so that's how I met my wife. I haven't told my kids that story. We've told them a very different story, but one day they'll hear that. But
how old are your kids?
I got twin boys that are 6, turn 7 next month.
Yeah, that's a little young for that.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. My daughter's 11. So yes, they get the Disney version right now.
The Disney version versus the original German fairy tale.
Exactly.
Nice. I see what you did there.
I do have a funny story with Tyler when SEAL Team. So when you go do the show, when it after it gets picked up after. So you shoot a pilot, you don't know if it's going to get picked up. Yeah. So you go away for like a month.
Very rarely do pilots get picked up.
Yeah, it's super rare. And we knew that we had like a good shot, but you didn't know there was all sorts of things. And it was like it was all this thing like does the audience want to? There was 3 other shows, military shows that were coming out that year. So we finally get picked up. We head to in Radio City Music Hall where they do the announcement. Back then it was called the Upfronts, and all of the fucking press show up there, like all the press from around the world, and the studio has a day where they introduce the cast to the world, right? And this is
huge announcement.
This is stuff you dream about as an actor. Like when I was on CSI New York, I was number 8 on the call sheet, so I never got to go on the trips. It was basically 1, 2, 3, and 4 that would go, or it'd be 1 and 2. So this is my very first, 25 years in the industry at the time, or 22 years in the industry. I was part of this, and I was like, oh, this is like, and I remember even like reading, I was like, got emotional, like this is like, wow, this is finally happening. Get to Radio Music Studio Hall, and I remember Les Moonves, who was the president of CBS at the time, walked by, he's like, AJ, good to have you back. And I was like, dude, you remember my name? I'm like, holy shit, this moment is like, couldn't get better. So they have us there an hour early for a tech rehearsal just to walk through, so the cameras catch us, all that, tell us how it's going to go, because it's live, and all the people are there. So I'm like, this is great. I have my publicist with me. We're all high-fiving, and like Dave Boreanaz goes out, and Dave Boreanaz, blah, blah, blah. And turn
the
around.
guy from Bones?
Yeah, he was the lead of our show. So, and they said, when you walk out, you can hit this mark, the audience and press, it's like the photo line, take, there's 1,000 pictures, all the camera crew, you sort of wave to them, and then there's the audience of all the press. And then you turn around, and there's like a 15-foot screen with like action shots of you from the show.
Yeah, like cool. 15 by freaking 100 feet.
So Radio City Music Hall, the Beatles have played there, Led Zeppelin, everybody. So I walk out, and this is rehearsal, and I do the thing, and they're saying there's going to be pictures here. Now turn, look at yourself up there, and I look up, and I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, ma'am, just so that's not me. That's Tyler Gray. And they're like, who? I'm like,
same shit.
So there's a 2-minute action reel.
Oh,
not one of them is me. It's all him. And I'm like, none of those are me. And it says AJ Buckley, AJ Buckley. It's all him. Like
every single photo.
It's all him.
That's genuinely very funny.
He's the other beardy head guy.
That's the moment you waited for as an actor, and the action reel is nothing but you, but your name. You're like,
and then,
here's the best part.
So my publicist is like, we have to fix this. And they're like, okay, we'll try and do it. And they come back, we don't have enough time, but we're just not going to be able to fix it. I'm like, so I'm going to go out And my biggest moment again is fucking Tyler Gray. It says over, and they're like, sorry, there's nothing. It says literally introduced to the world. And they're like, there's this video of literally I walk in, AJ Buckley, and it's like Tyler. That was it. That was like I called him.
That was his moment. He's like, you motherfucker.
I was like, what? He's like, what?
Yeah, it's great.
There's been many times where we've people have asked me, like,
we're twin brothers. Yeah.
Me and
we
Cody.
are actually born in the same year.
Yeah.
But they also say, to be perfectly honest with you, dude, I
told them
That's fair.
yesterday.
I literally didn't know. I thought this is a true story, no joke. I thought Donut's real name was Brandon Herrera.
I did not know.
I had no idea it was two people. I had no idea. I'm
In
not
your
gonna,
defense, they were literally wearing the same shirt today. So.
I like social
to be
media.
fair.
Like I just didn't know. I never. I don't usually. I'm very bad at YouTube and all that stuff. I just didn't know. And then when you told me, I was like, oh shit, that makes so much sense.
Two different guys.
Yeah. Well,
We get
I had
so
never
much-
seen you guys in the same place at the same time. Just saying.
Fair enough. Like on a podcast.
Yeah, well, I'd only met him. I'd like seen you once in passing. I'd
Right.
literally met him once in passing, and I mean, it just wasn't a long enough conversation where I really
I never saw it, frankly, but like we get it so much in public, like just like, oh, are you brothers, or like, oh, like that sort of thing. Like people at SHOT
It
Show.
was literally SHOT Show. We've told it before, but it was a guy walking past Brandon, Cody, guy, walks and says, hey, to Cody, like, hey, I appreciate you.
Appreciate all you do in Texas and blah blah. And I like because he said like he shouted like Brandon, and walks past me, and I'm just like I just hang back and like, oh, this is hilarious.
Gets his selfie, turns, looks at Brandon, like,
Or he said, oh.
I mean, that's great. That's awesome. Pretty good. That's funny.
And like Cody gives me the challenge coin. He's like, I believe he meant to give this to you.
Wow. Yeah, that's fun. God, he must have felt like a asshole, pretty much just like me. That's hilarious.
It's funny to me. Like we just fucking leaned into it, man. It's like what else can you do?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of the same with him and I. We didn't really see it, and then it happened quite a few times where people would like, call me AJ or vice versa, and then like he said, we just started going with it and introducing ourselves as twin brothers.
Cody's gone a step farther. He just has started to accept it. Like when people think
owns it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, Brandon. He's like, yes, I am. And we'll have a full conversation answering questions for me.
Jeez. You guys are pretty, I mean, but you do different things. But I guess you're together sometimes on similar
dude, we've
things.
had, my favorite is still somebody at SHOT Show went to him thinking he was Brandon.
Somebody
Herrera,
thought I was Brandon.
which is a
in
very
front of Brandon.
yeah, this is the first time we were all like this.
Slightly different.
He looks very Herrera-ish, let me tell you.
The far more Aryan tattooed guy.
Thank you. My son loves you. I love what you do for Texas. And at that moment, we were like, she thinks he's Brandon.
Okay, so
we
lives in Iowa.
us three are having this conversation on the sidebar. Like,
I
is she? Yeah, she does. Okay.
I have to ask, just because I don't know, I'm literally not saying this jokingly. What do you do for Texas?
So I ran for Congress.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, San Antonio to El Paso, that district.
Awesome.
So just big in like the 2A politics and just like the conservative politics in general.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Was it your first run?
Yeah.
How
Never gotten into politics ever before. I ran against the incumbent here in.
Well, I mean, that's a rough one.
But he put it in a runoff.
It was it's a district where it's a Republican district, like a Republican's going to win in this district. But I primaried him. We passed the primary. So we in Texas, it's a runoff state. So if you get below 50%, you're put into a special election with the people that came in first and second. Mm-hmm. So I forced him into a runoff election where he outspent me 10-1 to try to keep his job.
Wow.
And how much?
We still were within 1%.
Oh, but how much money was spent against you?
I don't know, $12 million roughly.
Wow.
Yeah, to slander me in the town I live in.
You're like, okay, how about this? Next year, you give me 8, and we'll call it a deal.
That's
I just won't run.
a crime. Can't do that.
Bribery.
Brandon's like, I'm not endorsing that.
Some of the funniest
Politicians would never commit crimes.
Never.
some of the funniest political ads you've ever seen in your life are against him. We have
It was so
Cody.
good.
Cody has a mailer that's got sent out to everybody in the district of a cartoon with Brandon's real face on it of a dude wearing an enormous cowboy hat. Brandon Herrera's all hat, no cattle. That's the whole mailer. It was so
They're
funny.
so bad. And it was, some of them were so funny. Like there was one where it's like Brandon Herrera doesn't understand Texas because he's not blah blah blah. Like a bunch of like crazy shit. But it ended the ad with some of the clips from my YouTube like years ago where I was doing a skit, and it's me wearing like the Coke dealer shades, like woo, with like my face full of white powder. Like they literally included that at the end of the ad. I'm like, this is actually so
good.
funny.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, politics is just...
That's the sign then. There, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon.
Literally.
I fucking let's go, Brandon.
And now he's currently in consideration to be the new head of the ATF.
Are you serious?
So the story about that, RFK had a website that he put
have
up
weird lore.
right after Trump won. Was Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah.
But it was nominees for the people, where people could nominate their own, like basically for people they thought would be good for certain cabinet positions. I had nothing to do with this, but somebody threw my name in for director of the ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. It got more votes than any other single nominee on the entire website.
Wow.
Really?
And it became a legitimate conversation for a minute.
Wow, that would be awesome.
For a minute?
The thing I said at SHOT Show, I've had to come up with a canned line. It's going to be a really funny story when I can tell it.
Okay, I like it.
It's all those-
Okay, that's fair.
yeah, it's a weird thing.
I'm sure you guys, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Then I got bored and made Tony
Oh
the
my
most
god, I
dishonest
actually
politician.
made a joke. I just realized that I made a joke on the interwebs about this, and I just didn't realize it was you. Somebody had, I didn't even put it together it was you, but it was like, I realized now it was like Brandon Herrera for ATF director, and then I had, this is probably when I was confused on, and then I looked at it.
I love that guy's cop videos.
I'm really YouTube. I never watch YouTube, so I'm just so bad at like. But so, anyways, then I went to your page. And I'm like, oh, that's obviously a joke. This guy's a huge 2A guy. So then I went back and I posted, yeah, it would be awesome on his first day that he makes himself unemployed.
Yeah.
Basically saying abolish the ATF on it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was a good joke. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Yeah.
I thought I was joking, but I was just stating the obvious.
Yeah. On his first day, he makes himself unemployed. Yeah,
That's the end goal.
yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's like,
I mean, you'd never have a director of the FAA who fucking hates airplanes.
Yeah.
Dude,
Who's the interim guy? They just said
So Stephen
I think you're-
Dettelbach just resigned.
Yeah.
They don't have. So the ATF is a weird case where, like, at the last 2 decades, there, I think, has been more time where there wasn't an actual confirmed director than the times that there was. So like, it's been a lot of acting directors, but not a lot of actual Senate confirmed directors.
I mean, dude, the ATF. I've had an interesting experience with the ATF. Like, I've been interviewed by them twice on, actually 3 times, but on just like random stuff. It's just crazy what. Someone says something and the ATF's like, hey, what's the deal with this? And you're like, oh, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. But what's interesting to me about the ATF is like, each time I've had to talk to them, in my experience with them, as long as you're like, just, it's like dealing with cops. You're like, hey, dude, this is what it is. Like, they've been really cool every time I've had to deal with them. But that's also because, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I just, tell them, I'm able to be very honest. But
in my experience, and I think it's probably what you're getting at, is like it matters more where they're from, because like an ATF field agent from Hawaii or New Jersey is going to behave way different than one from Tennessee or Texas, Because like all of my field agents, anybody I've ever had like do my interviews or whatever, they've always been rad as fuck. They've been super. I've been lucky.
Yeah,
knock on wood.
I've been the same. I've had a good experience when I've dealt with them. In my experience, the ATF, it just comes down to anything with the government. As long as you're paying, your vig to the government, you can do what you want. As soon as you freaking try and go around them, that's when they ask you.
Punishable by fine means legal for a fee.
There you go. And but, my dealings with the ATF, they've been cool with me, and I've had really cool agents. And it's just but again, it's scary because that if you get the wrong experience, they can put the hammer down on you for things that really are, you know what I mean? It's
to justify their budget or whatever the fuck.
It's a scary situation to deal with them, even if you're not doing anything wrong, because you know the power they have, and it's that is where I think, as a government, if you're not doing anything wrong, you as a person shouldn't have that fear. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm not doing anything wrong, I shouldn't have the fear that, and I don't care who it is, federal law enforcement, if I'm not doing anything wrong, I shouldn't have any fear. And the fact that we do in our current society, because of the amount of power they have and what they can do, I think that needs to change, in my opinion.
And I hate that because of politics. You get the Janet Renos, the Bill Clinton administration, that sort of thing, where even with Waco, it's you could make the argument, it's we probably should have talked to this guy a while ago. But he even said it in the VHS tapes, the David Koresh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's I go jogging every morning. You could have I have a good relationship with the sheriff.
Yeah.
You could have talked to me at any point.
Yeah.
Why did this become a siege where you have to fucking bake 20 kids alive? That's absurd.
I mean, I've watched quite a lot on Waco. I mean, or do you know that they had an undercover agent?
I've heard that.
No, it's a fact. That's a fact.
Did an undercover or a CI?
No, undercover.
Straight up undercover.
They had an undercover agent in the church. So, dude, from the things I've read, I wasn't there. I actually had a friend that was an ATF agent at Waco, and dude, he told me some bananas stuff about just a bunch of things about how crazy that situation was.
I can only imagine.
Dude, just stuff that he told me, I was like, that is unbelievable. But the point being is, in that agent's defense, from what I read and watched, he himself was like, dude, what are we doing? You know what I mean? He's like,
people don't know how crazy it was.
It is.
People are shooting machine guns from a helicopter into a church.
The whole situation is bananas, and the more you learn about it, the more bananas it is.
The first time I learned about the ATF, I did a show called Narcos, and
he just dropped that.
I didn't even know you were a narco.
Season 1 of Narcos. And,
he played Pablo.
So did I.
But when we first got the script and we was cast, that was the story of how the ATF was formed, their interrogation or their investigation of Pablo, and then one of the guys that Boyd Holbrook played, that was their first big mission where they're flying over and getting
the reconnaissance stuff.
Sort of stuff. But going over there and meeting some of the original players in Colombia, because we filmed in we filmed all over, but we're in
Medellin,
the other one,
Cali,
Bogota, which I don't know if you guys have ever been to Bogota before. It is. I can't sleep there. It's the altitude. Every time I lay down, it's just
higher than Denver.
By a lot. Awesome place. But the guy,
great. True.
Does it involve a hat?
No,
there was no hat this time.
No.
That's worse.
But it was crazy how what that the whole time of that agency and what they sort of went through and what they were up against with Pablo and the trade.
You talking about ATF or DEA?
ATF. The ATF.
Oh, okay.
The DEA.
Because I would have thought DEA. I didn't know ATF was involved.
Yeah, ATF was involved.
Because this would have been mid '80s.
Yeah.
Late '80s by the time.
The ATF had to fight the hippos.
Fair.
Yes.
This is like DA, yeah. It was probably all branches.
I think it was like from what I was, and I could be shitting the bed on this, but from what I was, this is like one of the first big missions of that entire team. But to see the people on the ground and what happened there, and like just the technology from where they were then to what everybody has now, like with those planes that would go over and
surveillance as a whole took off during that time. That was when we learned about
they were flying over with these planes and just sort of picking up
and listening to people based on the sound of their voice, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you a Colombia Pablo story. So when I was in, well, first of all,
who the are you guys, man?
So when I went to, well, first of all, when we filmed in Colombia for SEAL Team, we filmed in one of, now granted, when I say one of Pablo Escobar's like houses, dude, he probably had 200 houses. You know, the guy was a billionaire.
See, they turned his plane into an Airbnb.
Yeah. That's crazy. But we stayed. We filmed in one of them. But anyways, when I was in Medellin, we just, my buddy and I at the time were like, dude, let's go check out some Pablo Escobar shit. So we went to his gravesite. We went to like where the neighborhood where they like he dealt drugs, which is not a place to go today. Let me tell you, that was a bad idea.
Wild.
Yeah, it was really dangerous. And then dude, we went all over the place.
Let me go to the place where somebody who dealt drugs could get so powerful he became his own government.
It was really dangerous.
Brad, I don't think we fit in.
It was really dangerous. But anyways, we ended up going to we like paid this guy like a bunch of money and was just like there's no Ubers, taxi cab. We're basically like, take us where Pablo was killed. Like that was like what we said. And he was like, okay. So we go to this place and then we were like, we got let out. And
Spoiler alert, I'm on season 2.
and he was wrong. And then we're literally with broken Spanish. We're like, where did Pablo get killed? And dude, we probably asked 10 people and they're like, finally we get to the spot, right? And I look up and this is the house. Now, first of all, the house that he was killed on no longer exists. And it's been, I don't know if the whole house was torn down. I don't remember. But the exact spot is different, right? And so I looked up images and I was, matching it and everything. And we figured out we're standing across from where he was killed. And I'm there. Now, I was a sniper for years, right? And I'm there and I'm like looking at this house. And I'm looking at the image back in 90, whatever it was, 3, whatever, or 2. And I'm like looking at it. And then I'm reading the account of like how he died. And I'm looking at the location. And then I look around. And I'm like, this doesn't fit. Like, this just doesn't fit. There's no way he was killed by the way the account says, because I'm standing here looking at it. I'm looking at the train.
I have also been to Dealey Plaza.
So basically I'm there and I'm like looking around. I'm like, there's no way the official account. And so anyways, I called somebody that would be in the know, and they were like, yeah, like, what do you notice? And I'm like, well, there's no way for a person to shoot from to do what he said. And they're like, so what's the only option? And I'm like, and I said something, and he goes, you don't need to ask any more questions. And I was like, okay. So I'll just say, without explaining it, if you go there and you look and you read the official account, you'll put together. There's only
we're gonna totally do that.
All four. I'm not gonna explain it. I'm not gonna explain it. I'm just saying you'll figure out what must have happened if you go there, because the train doesn't support the official account.
I said I've also been to Dealey Plaza.
Well, that's going to be coming out soon,
I'm excited for that.
That's coming out soon.
You missed a golden opportunity when you were on the phone.
And
next question, did JFK's head really just do that?
So first of all, or not first, but second of all, like, dude, I read this thing recently about JFK, and I'm like, there's no way that's true. And I look it up, and it is true. It's like, I didn't know his brain was missing from the National Archives.
Yeah, that was weird.
I was like, what?
What?
Yeah, dude.
That was like a legit
His
thing.
brain was stolen from the National Archives. Look it up.
Some guy who signed his fucking guest name as CIA. It's fucking bizarre.
He's like John Smith, agent.
Oh,
John. But dude, look it up. His brain was basically went missing from the National
yeah, out of,
Archives.
out of the back of a Lincoln.
Lyndon Baines Smithson stole his brain.
Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like when my point that I'm making is, you know, the conspiracy of JFK. I mean, you hear this from years, and yet I never heard about the missing brain. I'm like, dude, that's a big piece of the puzzle that supports the fact that something happened that we don't know.
Are we
of,
going to get
and
into
no
the
one's just
JFK thing right now?
mission. Well, I think we're already in there, buddy.
All right.
I think when he said JFK, Brad, it opened the
Do
conversation.
we really want to get into it?
I mean, look, I'll say this about it. When I watched a
Trap's
recent,
like,
when I watched a recent, and I don't remember the name of this documentary, but I watched a documentary on JFK. Again, this was like 3 years ago, and it makes a case on
Forrest
who
Gump.
killed him. And I was like, yeah, it makes a case on who killed him. It's a pretty solid case, dude.
Which one?
It's the one that it doesn't say it, but it basically details his connection to the mob. Basically says the mob put him in office. Basically explains the connection with JFK and the mob to Cuba.
Yep.
Talks about the Bay of Pigs. And like that whole thing, the narrative that they like, I'm like, okay.
A bunch of pissed off CIA boys that got.
Well, see, that's the thing is it basically says, look, the CIA was pissed, the mob was pissed. The crazy connection that I thought was pretty damning, and this was just my personal feeling on it, was the guy that killed Lee Harvey Oswald. And again, if I'm wrong,
Ruby.
don't quote me. Was a straight up mob hitman.
Yes.
Like not debatably, not conspiracy theory esque. Like cut and dry a mob hitman. So then you go.
You didn't know that, Eli?
no.
Yeah,
Dude,
no, it's
not-
straight up.
not-
That's not a conspiracy theory. That's like just a known
Is that the guy
fact.
with the glasses?
That is a known
Yeah, those big,
fact.
thick glasses
That is a known fact
know,
that
to
the
be honest.
guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald was a mob hitman. Fact. So once you put all those facts together, you go, okay, dude, like, you know, there's a lot more, in my mind, it was a lot more of a clearer picture
what
where
did
you
That
just
is,
start.
like I believe the mob helped him get elected.
Oh, I
well,
absolutely believe that.
What is it that his wife said, JFK's wife? And
No, she said,
Which one?
I want them to see what they've done to Jack.
She wouldn't take off her thing.
dress.
I remember seeing him like, why would she say something like that?
Yeah.
She's like, who's what they've done? Who are they? What they?
And then you got LBJ
Yeah,
and the governor.
because she wouldn't take the blood off. She wouldn't take. She wore the dress, everything with everything on her.
Fucking
She did
good
that.
on her.
And
That's
they're,
cool.
they're on Air Force One and
Yeah.
LBJ and I can't remember his name, but they're throwing each other the okay and winking at each other.
Dude, that's another part
What?
where you're like, whoa.
You don't know this?
No, I don't know.
dude,
This is
yeah.
not, I've done zero.
I thought
The
that's
only
when
thing
you-
I know about the JFK assassination is that it didn't happen the way they said it did. There's like four theories that I'm like, oh, those all kind of hold their own water a little bit, but like the
this
official
has
story is
nothing
so
to
bad.
do with cameras. So I do.
I mean, dude, again though, as a sniper, dude, every time like sniper stuff comes up in the media, you know, I know enough to.
Thank you.
Did you fart? Was that but I know
the hatred in your voice.
I know enough to like, you know, I know enough to comment, you know what I mean? Like when the Secret Service happened stuff, I was like, oh my dear God, you know, I just, I,
You have a decent understanding.
yeah, I've been, you know, I did it for, you know, almost 5 years. Like, I know long range or that job, you know, I know well enough
I hate
to.
how much you now believe shit.
Well, no,
it sounds
I
like
also-
you're Joe Schmo off YouTube who's like, I watched a couple videos.
I
I shot 10 rounds.
No, I mean, but it was a job I liked a lot. So, you know, I studied it pretty in depth. And I remember years ago, like when I first started, I just remember thinking about like Lee Harvey Oswald, you know, like the for lack of a better term, the logistics, I don't know if that's the right word, of those shots. And it just with
3 rounds
everything
for
at
a
the
fucking
time and the
Carcano
rounds and the timing. And I remember shooting a bolt rifle at the time and just being like, dude, either this dude, and I don't mean, you know, look, he's an assassin, but I mean, technically, I'm like, either this dude was a f***ing savage, like just really technically proficient,
ripping it,
or the story is not true. You know, and I'm just saying that was my takeaway from doing the logistics of, and then looking at the angle and the freaking distance and the moving target speed, and I'm like, I'm not buying it.
I mean, even the governor.
Standing where in Dallas, it was in Dallas, right? Where it
Yeah,
happened?
it was Dallas.
Yeah,
Do they,
he
do,
got shot out.
do they have
the library.
it all marked out still? Like, can you see where?
No, because they got rid of one of the buildings, I believe.
Well, no, they still have the like they mark it in the street. There's like a little like tape.
I thought
X.
something changed though. That, if I'm not mistaken, something changed, and the reason I'm saying that is I think something changed. And again, I could be wrong, but I thought something changed so that they couldn't recreate it perfectly.
So the book repository is still there, and it's funny because they have a plaque there on it where like it's like a thing. No matter how many times they replace it, people still carve out with knives allegedly. They're like we're Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly. It's like fucking yeah.
Good.
But yeah, there's a lot of shit about that that's just kind of sideways.
What's one like your level of proficiency and still saying it's like, man, that is, I would have trouble with that fucking, or could you replicate that for yourself where you're like, I can do it, but maybe like 1 out of 10 times?
And again, it's been a while, I don't remember.
Because there's 2 perfect shots, right?
From what I remember, from what I remember, and again, it's been a long time, but again, there was at one point where I like looked at the data and then was like, oh, let me try and replicate this. And again, obviously I wasn't in the same location. I wasn't at the same distance. But I just remember at the time looking at everything and thinking, I don't think I could do it. Like, you know what I mean? I remember being pretty good at that time and thinking, I don't think I could pull this off. And again, from what I remember thinking, maybe in perfect conditions, maybe after a couple rehearsals, you know, if it was like a competition.
And not hit anybody else.
But I remember at the time thinking...
Well, he did hit...
he hit the governor.
Yeah. That was the thing. The governor even was throwing shade on the official story. He's like, that didn't happen that way.
Oh, really?
Like one of the 2 guys who got shot was like, that's not...
Lower back.
It was almost like the governor was like the girl that Puff Daddy shot in the face.
So allegedly 2.
Allegedly
2, but... supposedly 3.
Yeah. And how different is the bolt action back then to like a bolt action?
There's something else, if I'm not mistaken,
same.
Lee Harvey Oswald, I think he was left-handed.
Really?
There's something weird that...
was he using a lefty rifle?
No, I'm trying to remember, but there was some factor, again, I don't remember what it was, but there was some additional factor of him... manipulating the gun. I don't remember what it is. I shot a bolt action gun left-handed.
What the fuck? No, it's way weirder because Oswald was right-handed but had a left master eye and shot from the left shoulder.
Oh,
that's what it was. There you go.
Weird.
That's what it was. So if you're right hand dominant. If you're right-handed, you will still train right eye dominant, especially sniper position.
He had LBJ whispering in his right ear.
He shot right-handed still with left shoulder?
He's shooting, what he's doing
shoulder,
was...
right-handed, left shoulder, left eye.
Oh, I hate that.
So personally, so this is now what I remember. That's what's being said. I'm pretty confident, I could be wrong here, they didn't see him fucking shooting. I'm pretty confident that if he was left eye dominant, I'm pretty confident he shot it left-handed, which means he would have to manipulate the bolt. This was what I recreated. He would have to manipulate the bolt over the scope, rack it left-handed, which I used to shoot a bolt. This is why I remember it. I used to shoot a bolt gun left-handed because I'm left eye dominant. So that's why I remember he was the same as me. And I remember thinking, dude, shooting a bolt action, a right-hand bolt action left-handed adds quite a bit of effort. Not only does it add a ton of effort to go over the bolt and rack the bolt, so that adds a ton of time. But much more importantly, if you are right-handed shooting a bolt gun, you can fire, right? And you just go from the trigger up, back, down. You really don't break or move your position very much. So it allows you to stay boom, boom. left-handed now, you're going boom. You have to break completely off the scope, rack it, and then come in and completely completely reacquire your
for the
target.
speed of the follow-up.
He fired 2 shots.
No freaking. There's no way he did it.
2.5 seconds, I think.
And again, that was the part that I was like, "There's no way."
No, I heard one thing that I found out after I made my.
That's your thumbnail right there.
In my opinion,
after I made my JFK video, I was made aware of
JFK secrets? Question mark? Question. Tyler K. JFK secrets? Question mark? Question mark.
2 fake seals disprove the JFK narrative.
Operator comes clean on the JFK assassination.
LBJ did it confirmed? Question mark.
Here, clickbait, gone sexual.
The FBI will come to my door again.
Now it'll all be
And they're like,
dude.
fuck you watching karaoke.
It's literally just like the meme of like you look through the little like porthole.
It was like
and
Men
it's
in
Cash
Black.
Patel.
I think on that note, Trow's going to close us out. But before Trow closes us out, where do we find you beautiful sons of bitches on social media and TV?
I'm just at AJ Buckley, AJ Buckley, and on Instagram is probably the best way. And then our new 2 fake seals is the
2 fake seals.
The
is
one
our
thing I meant to
2 fake
ask
seals.
about
Yeah,
before
sorry.
we started the podcast.
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
Two Fake Seals is our new podcast and show that we just started releasing, which is basically about it's just AJ and I. You know,
the genesis of the show was when the China balloon was over our house in South Carolina, and my neighbors they kept calling.
The China balloon was over here.
The surveillance.
literally
Yeah,
over his
surveillance.
house.
You could see it from the backyard when so my neighbors were calling
All the Chinese guys, holy shit, he's holding a hat up.
Very impressive.
But my
Can we
neighbors,
get an Eli holy real quick?
but the neighbors kept calling me, going like, "AJ, what do we do? What's going to happen?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, man. I'm an actor. Like, I don't." I think people just assume because I play Sonny Quinn and I'm texting on the show that I have all the answers, and people generally in our neighborhood will still call me or in gym like, what's going to happen? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I sit in the trailer, I wear makeup, I have a stunt double, I drink a latte. Like, I'm not the guy.
Shit's going down there running to your house. And like, what do we do?
That's another show.
Yeah.
A full-on another TV show. Like an up-class neighborhood where an actor that played a Navy SEAL becomes the badass.
I think it's called Galaxy Quest,
which is a great underrated film.
Fantastic.
It's a good movie.
Well, we came back and I was like talking to Tyler. I'm like, dude, you should the post SEAL team. We should have you actually taking me out into the real world, and because you're been a survivalist, reading books in this and prepping and stuff since you were like 10 years old. Yeah. I'm like, and we'll just go across and you fucking teach me how to do all this shit, and we'll stop off and talk to preppers and learn shit along the way. And then Tyler's like, we should call it 2 Fake Seals. I'm like, yeah. And then we Googled
such a good
and then we ended up working with Ford and Total Off Road, and they're building we actually pick up the Big Richard in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, 2 days. Yeah.
So we go pick it up, drive the truck, the Tremor, to Total Off Road in South Carolina. They're going to do a big build on it, and it'll be a mobile podcast. And we'll be driving around, so we'll come through here again with. We're gonna have like the toy trailer that we'll be pulling, and
that'll be the studio.
That'll be the studio and the Little Richard, and then it'll have the build that they're doing on some of the stuff that the early.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's pretty. So it's going to be cool. And then at the end of each season, we'll raffle off
the Big Richard,
and that'll be Big Richard 2.0. So and really like the whole overland community and stuff. I really love
off-grid, overland, like self-reliant space.
So
we basically want to freaking
do that we love.
Yeah, but we want to take the, kind of the, prepper used to be. Dude, I've been a survivalist nerd since I was a little kid, gun fanatic, and I've always been that guy. And, COVID changed things because COVID, it was like, oh, you were a weird survivalist prepper person.
Now we're cool.
And then, dude, we became cool. Just like, dude, I was a Star Wars nerd when it wasn't cool.
Guess who has toilet paper, retard?
Dude, I shit you not, I probably had 100,000 rounds in my garage.
Hell
right?
Yeah.
I got 1,000 guns. I mean, crazy shit. And then I'm like sitting there and I'm like, toilet paper. I didn't see this coming. You know what I mean? I'm like, I have everything, but I didn't stock up on toilet paper.
Such a mild concern.
I know. I was like, yeah. I mean, true. I was like, you know, people
Well,
were like,
the 100,000 rounds means you have your neighbor's toilet paper.
Exactly. But it was just the point is,
Tyler,
I was like,
what do? You give me your toilet paper.
like, we can call this. We can do this
protect you.
the easy way.
100,000 rounds.
I said,
Guess who's king of toilet paper now, motherfucker?
What am I going to eat in the apocalypse? Your food.
I was like, Todd, when we were just discussing ideas of the show, I'm like, well, what will we do? And he's like, no one's going to go out to the woods, so I'm going to teach you how to like survive in the city. I'm like, what we do? He goes, we're taking over a fucking Walmart. That Walmart is going to be ours.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, survival situation. I'm like, dude, I'll take over Walmart. I'll be the king of Walmart.
A solid concrete building with 3 entries.
Dude, I can hold that. I can hold that with my homies. And then, dude, you want cereal? Deal with the king of Walmart.
Dude, King Tyler. Whatever King Tyler was.
Tyler Gray, king of loss prevention.
There you go. But so
we went full circle.
Take my Cocoa Puffs, motherfucker.
Exactly.
You're not going to have the $1,000 shopping lift.
Yeah. You want
Walmart.
Count Chocula, you know? But, so it was just one of those things where people now know like, fires. I mean, dude, part of LA burned down. So the point being is what people thought was impossible, they're now seeing, dude, anything can happen. So just that mentality, you're no longer the weird prepper. People realize that anything can happen at any time. And I think people are ready to start listening how to take care of themselves and not be in a position where they constantly have to rely on other people,
also too, like,
let alone the government.
But also too, like take it, like take away the doom and gloom from it, and like really play into the comedy of it. Like if they're laughing, they're listening. Like enter, like have fun.
Not
with
make it so serious.
Not make it so serious.
That's
like
the show.
Like have like
have fun.
Have fun. Take the piss out of me while I make an complete ass of myself and do that. And then just like we were even today where we're like talking about how fun it's going to be just to like go do shit that we want to go do, like and go. You know, like, kind of like what you guys.
Yeah, it's what you guys.
It's really inspiring to be here with you guys
create,
today.
Monetize your hobbies and just take what we like doing. We're doing the show because it's what we like doing. We like that space.
Yeah.
We like learning new products, great companies, great people, and that's what the show is.
And then
traveling
sort of
around
through
the country.
the POV of me learning the stuff on the way, will we have that sort of, as the viewer, will be through my eyes learning how to fucking survive in the real world.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so
like that's
thanks,
a
guys.
fun idea.
Yeah,
we're
really,
psyched. So
yeah, really excited to do it. And honestly, thank you so much for having us, man, because you guys are legends in this space. So it's really awesome to get to meet y'all and be here with you.
We're legends. You guys had the best stories. We
always think we're going like, we're still lame.
You ever heard of this guy called Ronald Reagan? You're like, oh fuck. Tell the fucking story.
But yeah, on that note, check us out at Two Fake Seals on
TWO.
Instagram, and then my Tyler A. Gray at Instagram or on Instagram, whatever. And again, as AJ said, thanks so much for having us, guys, and it's absolutely awesome to come onto the show. You guys are crushing it, and we really appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
Any day, all day.
It's been a genuine pleasure to have you guys.
So
Like, this has been fun as fuck.
Stoked.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
JFK? Question mark?
It was the driver. See you guys later.
So to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us on the Unsubscribed podcast. I was joined today by Mr. Eli Doubletap, Mr. Fat Electrician, Mr. AJ Buckley, thank you, sorry. Mr. Tyler Gray. We got
Donut operator.
Donut Herrera.
Brandon
Herrera.
Brandon Herrera. There it is. Thank you for reminding me. And I, as always, am Donut Operator or King Crowd, depending on who you ask. Thank you for joining us.
Ozempic donut.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
No, thanks.
Thank you guys so
Thanks,
fucking much.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.